at the center of Hamelby's mountain. This man was walking his way through this intense heat from the boiling lava. Even if all of his equipment has heat resistance, he still struggles, and one wrong step, he'll die. He is ranked as the 31st in the Korean server. Fire Dragon Knight, Agni. This man came to this mountain to hunt for a legendary item that can only be obtained by slaying this dragon. After a while, Agni saw the entrance for the secret dungeon, but then he saw someone. This man is sleeping right outside the dragon's den. Agni got confused, then he decided to check out the person's equipment first. All of the sleeping person's equipment were all legendary ranked, even his accessories. He thought that if he could get even one item from this man, it would be worth it. Agni calmed himself down. He knew that for this person to be lying around like this in this area, he should be really strong. But he can't just let this opportunity go to waste. He then started wielding his flame sword. Even if the person he's attacking was sleeping, he didn't let his guard down. Agni swung his sword and attacked. Notifications for him attacking the sleeping player popped out, but this man just rolled over and dodged the attack. Then an unknown skill started to be activated, and it made the sleeping man stand up. Sleepwalking skill has been activated, and this one started his counterattack. Agni struggled to defend because of his opponent's speed. Then he saw chains heading towards him. Agni summoned his Fire Dragon's Scale Shield. This is his strongest defense skill. But then, the chains broke through his shield. This attack ignores defense. Agni was hit by the chains, and it dealt significant damage. It also made him stunned for 1 second. Then in a swift moment, his opponent dealt a fatal blow against him. Agni was also inflicted with a nightmare status, and he saw something too horrible to imagine. He saw death itself. After a few seconds, Agni died and he was forced to log out. This top ranker was just beaten by someone who's sleepwalking. Agni dropped some items, but this man continued his sleep like nothing happened. Few hours later, this man woke up. He was happy when he saw some items lying around. He knew that his skill was activated when he was asleep. He obtained the Sword of Flame and 897 gold. Then, he proceeds on entering the secret dungeon. This player is Hyunsung. He's a descendant of the strongest god in Idea, Thananos. His class was God rank, and he is our ever-sleeping main character. Quick note: the author intentionally misspelled the name of the god, so don't be bothered too much. Some backstory about our MC. He was once a corporate slave taking and sulking up orders from this good-for-nothing boss. All of his workmates admire him because of his patience in taking his boss orders. This boss kept on talking and blaming Hyunsung for the delay of their task, and our MC just kept on apologizing. Hyunsung can't afford to lose his job because he pays for his sister's medical expenses. But deep inside, he wants to punch this man's ugly face. He will just let this one go. Hyunsung will continue to work in this hellish corporate job, but this man really wants to quit his job. Back at his home, he greets this old lady and thanked her for working today. This is Hyunsung's little sister, Hyuna. These two lost their parents at a very young age, and this forced Hyunsung to adapt and mature faster. Every night, Hyunsung pretends that he's fine and doing well at work. Hyuna does the same. She doesn't want her brother to be worried about her. 6 years ago, Hyuna was with her parents, and they were involved in a car accident. Hyuna survived, but she has been blaming herself since. Hyunsung was not able to do anything for her, so he carried the guilt as well. But these kinds of moments made Hyunsung stronger. He's happy then Hyuna was gradually becoming better. Her sister has been playing a game called Idea. This is a virtual reality game that utilizes a world bigger than the Earth. All the features of the game were based on Earth's, but in this world, fantasy and magic exist. It was also branded as the greatest game of all times. Hyunsung bought his sister a capsule, and at the same time, he bought himself as well. Hyunsung only uses the capsule to rest. 1 hour in real life equates to 5 in-game hours. This man uses Idea to catch up with his sleep. A very clever move indeed. If he used the game, he would be able to rest for 20 to 25 hours instead of just 4 to 5 hours. Idea was also not just a simple game. Top-ranked players were able to make a huge fortune just by playing the game. Some of them even quit their job because playing Idea pays better. Hyun-sung also thought about doing this because he was scouted to be a pro player when he was a kid. But he can't afford to make sudden decisions because of his sister. Then our MC started logging into the game. He was transported to this village where newbies arrived. But this time, he's the only one left. As usual, Hyun-sung proceeds to enter an inn. He quickly felt joy as he lay down the bed. Hyun-sung started his sleep. Then this notification popped out. Our MC has slept more than 10,000 hours in game. He received all of these notifications after. But this man has zero idea about what's happening. Hyun-sung woke up after sleeping for 6 hours in the real world. That's 30 hours of sleep. He started to see all the windows that were waiting for him. Hyun-sung got startled. He saw that his class had been changed. Our MC got a God rank class descendant of Thananos. After sleeping for 10,000 hours, he got a lot of stats from the titles he gained. But Hyun-sung decided to look at this later because he should log out now. After spending his time researching what was going on, he was amazed at what he found out. He figured that if he can master the skill he got, he could earn a year's worth of salary just by playing this game. Hyun-sung started thinking about it. He will use his savings and bust his way to become strong within 2 months. Because of this, Hyun-sung's mood was great. He started his day by cooking their breakfast. Then he helped his sister go to her wheelchair so she could go to the bathroom. Hyun-sung was really thankful to this game because it helps his sister in overcoming the trauma she had. On top of this, her sister was also doing her best to be healed. She secretly tries to stand up. Inside the game, she can freely walk. And right now, all she has to do is develop her muscles in her legs. This little sister kept this development because she wants to surprise her brother when the time comes. Back at his office, Hyun-sung handed his boss his resignation letter. His boss was now regretting his past actions. Without Hyun-sung, this man will have to do all the work that our MC has been doing for him. Even though they will have more workloads now, Hyun-sung's workmates were happy for him. They were even amazed that Hyun-sung lasted that long. The shameless boss tried stopping Hyun-sung from resigning by mentioning his sister. But this switched the mood inside the room. Hyun-sung punched the table. He told his boss that he's thankful and he hopes that they will never meet ever again. After that, Hyun-sung left the office. He then went to this PC zone. Our MC was so happy because he was given a chance to earn lots of money just by playing a game. First, he rented a PC to start researching and studying more about the game. He thought that he should start by leveling up. The items that were in demand were in levels 100 to 200. So this is where he needs to be. But then he saw this tip in the forum. It says that the higher the rank of the player's class, the higher the difficulty it gets to level up. With his God rank, Hyun-sung needs 5 times the amount of experience a normal player needs to level up. Hyun-sung started to think that he quit his job way too soon. But on the other hand, this just proves that higher ranked classes were also more powerful than the ordinary ones. After his research, our MC then decided to switch on using a capsule. He still has 8.5 hours left before his former work hours end, so he rented the capsule for 9 hours. Hyun-sung entered the capsule and started the game. Back to this inn, he checked the skills and stats he got last time. This is where he was interested the most. His God rank class. It says here that Thananos is the god of death and sleep. This god also loves partaking in mischiefs as well. Upon reading the description, he thought that this god was somewhat like a punk. The next thing Hyun-sung checked was the skills he got. First skill was narcolepsy. It's a passive skill that makes the user suddenly fall asleep. This skill will be activated once every 24 hours or random time. The user will not be able to wake up once this skill was activated. Next is Thananos Dreams. This one lets the user earn DP according to the amount of sleep he had. This gives the user the ability to gain DP upon hunting monsters, NPC, or even players 30 levels above. It also gives access to the DP store where the user can buy items and skills in different ranks in exchange to DP. Third skill is called Thanosomnambulism. This lets the user's character be controlled by an artificial intelligence, same with his skills when he falls asleep. It will only be activated if the user was attacked while he's asleep. Fourth skill is Thananos Nightmares. This is a passive skill that lets the user wield any weapon. It increases the chance of giving a fatal blow to 200% and gives an abnormal status called nightmare. Lastly, the skill is called Rest of Death. This one lets the user spend DP to make someone sleep for 1 minute. While asleep, the opponent also receives double the damage. After reading all of these lengthy skills, Hyun-sung was too happy. He even thought that with these abilities, people would call him a hacker. Then the narcolepsy skill has been activated, and he felt drowsy. Our MC fell asleep. Hyun-sung's character will remain like this, so the game advises him to log out. Since he logged out sooner than expected, Hyun-sung tried to ask for a refund, but he failed. He's kind of frustrated because the skill was immediately activated right after he just logged in. Hyun-sung thought that the skill really has lived up to its name. Meanwhile, at the rehabilitation hospital, Hyuna was having her treatment to walk. Her doctor has now concluded that her inability to walk was not caused by psychological reasons. With this, psychology professor Lee Mina advised that Hyuna should focus more on developing her muscles. This girl was also able to progress faster because of her determination to surprise her brother. Then Lee Mina asked her when will Hyuna tell his brother about her secret. Turns out, Hyuna has been paying for her medical treatments on her own now. She was able to earn from playing idea. Her brother has zero clue about this because he didn't listen well when his sister was talking about earning inside the game. Hyuna received a call from his brother. She then made an alibi that she was just out for a walk with her caretaker and said that she'll be back soon. Hyun-sung offered to fetch her up, but she was too embarrassed, so she denied the offer. With this, Hyuna said her goodbyes to Professor Lee Mina. She thought that these siblings were really a handful. Hyun also informed her caretaker about the alibi she made, so they will be in sync. After a while, Hyuna and this Ajama were back to their apartment. Hyun-sung told this Ajama that she can go now because he will take over taking care of Hyuna. Ajama was grateful and took this day as a day off. Hyun-sung then carries Hyuna to her room. Hyuna quickly noticed her brother's serious expression, so she asked him if something bad had happened. Hyun-sung told her that he has quit his job. She didn't say a thing and thought that his brother had really been working lots of overtime. He then told her that he plans to earn money via idea. Hearing this, Hyuna's expression brightened up. She told him that she has been waiting for a chance to suggest this idea to her brother. She also added that lots of people have been earning money with this game. Hyuna asked her brother what class he is in and maybe he got something high-ranked that made him quit his job. Because of her excitement, Hyuna revealed that she's ranked 331. She's within the top 1,000 players in the game and has been earning a lot that she's been paying her medical fees. Hyun-sung stopped her and now wants to talk about what she said in detail. This poor little girl tried working her way out of this trouble but to no avail. But in the end, Hyun-sung appreciates his sister's efforts and concern. He thought that she really has matured. These two continued to talk about idea. They even made a bet. Hyun-sung should make it to the top 1,000 within 3 months. That night, he logged in again. Hyun-sung's character has been asleep for 58 hours. With this, it increased his stats. After that, Hyun-sung proceeds to go to the center of the village where the gate for tutorials is. He thought about his father's advice that the first step is always important. So our MC decided to clear this one first. Inside this tutorial, Hyun-sung was asked to choose a weapon. He chose a beginner's sword as he's a second dan in Kumdo. This is also the weapon he always chooses in his past games, so he's more confident in using this one. Then this scarecrow appeared in front of him. It looks pretty weak and with one slash, it was cut in half. Hyun-sung cleared the tutorial and gained a lot of titles. He got the like a professional title which gives him plus 10 on all stats. Monstrous newbie title gives him a 10% increase in all of his experience points. Hyun-sung has slowly become an overpowered player with all these titles he got. After this, he decided to move to the next village. All newbies will be able to choose where they will start their journey. Usually they choose those with more developed towns for easier runs, but our MC chose the Dha town, the most troublesome and infamous town among beginners. This town has an orc village nearby, so beginners try to avoid this place as much as possible. But for Hyun-sung, It means that he can solo all the monsters in this place and level up like crazy. At the DHA town, these two guards were talking about why foreigners have not visited their town for a long time. The other guard told him that this was because of this acid slime. Instead of being weak and easily killed, these slimes fire an acid blast that newbies can't dodge. It also melts their equipment. In addition, there's an orc village nearby. They noticed that someone was teleporting in the village and made them so happy. Hyun-sung arrived at the village and he was greeted by all the NPC in it. But seeing that he's just a low-level noob, they started to get back to their work. The guards also felt bad for this newcomer. Hyun-sung then asked them about the location of the slimes so he could hunt them. The guards tried warning him about the danger, but Hyun-sung just thanked them for their concern. They really pity Hyun-sung. After running for some time, Hyun-sung found one slime. He proceeds on attacking it, but as he approaches, the slime really blasted acid. But with his high stats, Hyun-sung landed a fatal blow and killed the slime in one hit. He figured that he can't level fast enough with this, so he returned to the town to ask the location of the orc village. Upon asking this, the guards' reactions were weird. They thought that Hyun-sung had given up on his life and tried to comfort him. Then they gave him something. Our MC was given some money. They advised him to go to the merchant and buy some scrolls to escape this town. Hyun-sung was still confused about what's going on, but he received a new title, Begging King. This gives him 10% more favor from the NPCs. After being treated as a beggar, Hyun-sung decided to just find the orc village by himself. Then he found some big footprints. This means he's in the right place. Suddenly, two orcs came rushing his way. He was able to dodge the attacks of the orcs, and with just one slash, the first one was eliminated. The other one also had no time to react and it was slashed behind its back. With this, Hyun-sung gained a lot of levels. He also gained DP in the process. Hyun-sung enjoyed this feeling, so he decided that he'll try to level up and kill all the orcs around the town. Our MC has started to feast with these poor monsters. These two guards were just chilling as usual, but then they heard the screams of the red orcs and raised their guards. But they were puzzled when they saw Hyun-sung coming from the direction of the screams. These two thought that Hyun-sung got scared when he heard the screams, so he ran back towards the town. Little did they know, those screams were from the red orcs Hyun-sung slaughtered. He then showed them all the loot he got from his killing spree and asked them where Hyun-sung could sell these. These guards realized they were wrong in underestimating the newbie. They also thought about their money and planned to ask if they could get those gold back. Hyun-sung found the merchant and unloaded all the loot he got. These parts were all in great shape because of his precise slashes. The merchant told him that he'll pay 150 gold for all of this. This equates to 15,000 won. Hyun-sung was amazed that he earned this much for just hunting weak monsters. At this rate, he'll earn more than his previous job. While focusing on leveling up and getting stronger within 1 to 2 months, he will also earn lots of money. With his excitement, Hyun-sung rapidly ran towards the exit of the town. These guards saw him and thought that Hyun-sung was much stronger than the two of them. Hyun-sung was also trying to avoid them so he wouldn't be obliged to return their money. He also continued to hunt for more orcs. After 10 in-game hours of hunting, Hyun-sung started to feel that he's leveling up slower. He was also able to drop the numbers of the orcs around the town. Our MC wants to hunt more elite monsters and boss ones, but he's still not ready for those. He needs an attack skill at least to back him up. Hyun-sung was able to save 140 ability points, so he decided to allot them now. He spent 70 points in wisdom, 40 in reaction speed, 14 in strength, and 16 in stamina. He also tried the DP store. He started to pull items. Normal rank 1s require 1 DP. Hyun-sung got a steel dagger. Rare items require 10 DP and he got this bloodstone ring. For the unique item, he got this Ayla's stick. This is for magicians, so he treated this as trash. The heroic item pull gave him this. It's called Iris Failed Product. This item can be equipped to his existing weapon and it will double its attack power. Hyun-sung is not impressed by its effect, but it is still a heroic rank, so yeah. And lastly, the legendary item. Hyun-sung got this egg, but it still has no description in it. It is an unknown egg. He was really frustrated by the items he got, especially the legendary one. This orc appeared after his summons, and got a powerful punch of disappointment from Hyunsung. Then he was back on pulling skills. For the normal skill, he got sprinting. It boosts his sprint by 10%. Magic bullet barrage for the rare one. This lets him create small bullets from his mana. It has a cooldown of 3 seconds. For his unique skill, he got the Berserker's Song. It will allow Hyunsung to ignore damage for 10 seconds and his attack power will be boosted. The heroic skill he got is the Siren's Seduction. It is an aggro skill that seduces all males within a 100-meter radius. And for the legendary skill, Hyunsung got the Reaper Chains. This skill will attack all the enemies within a 30-meter radius and put them on chains. This will also ignore defense and do damage equivalent to 500% attack power of the user. Our MC was really satisfied with this legendary skill. Meanwhile, he was being observed by this mysterious guy, and it looks like he's not happy about it. This is Inferno, the company that created the game idea. At the Korea HQ, the user management team was monitoring the progress of Hyunsung, and this man who shows disappointment from the developers of the game is their team leader. His name is Jo Minwoo. He has a headache now because Hyunsung has chosen the DHA town as his starter town. He was also alerted by his team when Hyunsung opened the DP store. At first, unlocking the God class didn't bother him so much. But as Hyunsung showed his natural talents, he started to fear this man. The level of control and the mechanics of Hyunsung were out of the charts. When Hyunsung was about to buy some items and skills from the DP store, the only thing he could do was to pray. When Hyunsung got this branch, his expressions were like this. This guy is laughing. But then it immediately changed. Hyunsung got the Iris failed product, and among these, he got the most important one. The team leader also has no idea about the egg that Hyunsung got, so he's not gonna stress too much. As for the first 3 skills that Hyunsung got, he's okay with it as long as there's no attack skill. It made him laugh when Hyunsung got the Siren's Song. But then it was followed by the legendary area of effect skill called Reaper's Chain. This guy was dumbfounded that even the juice he hadn't swallowed was already coming out. He knew that the combo of the Siren's Song and Reaper's Chain would break the game. He gave up and decided to report this progress to the higher-ups. Back to our MC. He was satisfied with what he got. He's now loving his God class, and his decision to quit working was right. In less than 3 hours, he was able to earn 100,000 won or $76. He remembered his little sister who was already level 331. As a big brother, he needs to start earning more than her so he can still be the provider of the family. With this thought in his mind, Hyunsung was now more determined to hit higher levels. He will now hunt the boss. This is the Red Orc village, and Hyunsung was quietly observing the place before attacking. There is also a Red Orc shaman in this place, and this is an elite monster. If the boss comes out while he is busy with these monsters, he'll be in trouble. So he decided to take care of these pests first. Hyunsung used his Siren's Seduction skill. Then the orcs got hypnotized and started to run towards him. Unfortunately, this also lured the orc boss. This is Kurek, the hero of the Red Orcs. This army of Red Orcs were now frenzied and were about to attack Hyunsung. Then he used his legendary skill, the Reaper's Chain. Hundreds of chains started to come out from Hyunsung, and these chains pierced through the bodies of the Red Orcs. This is one of the times that you'll feel sorry for these monsters. As the chains do their work, Hyunsung got a lot of notifications saying he leveled up. At the end of it all, even the boss Kurek was defeated. With this, Hyunsung got another 2 titles, 50 DP, and a secret pathway to the hidden dungeon. This skill was just too overpowered. Lots of items and loot were also dropped. Hyunsung wished he had an item collecting skill for these. The next day, Hyunsung came back to the farm for more orcs, but they didn't spawn. And then he remembered about the secret map he got. Hyunsung saw Kurek's dugout. He figured that maybe he needs to clear this one first. Our MC has arrived at the place, and this is just too obvious. It's a secret dungeon. Instead of being scared, Hyunsung felt excited because he'll meet stronger monsters and he can use them to level up. Hyunsung entered the entrance of the dungeon and he's the first discoverer. He then met his first test subject, an orc warrior's vengeful spirit. Hyunsung was not able to kill this one with just 1 slash. This is because his physical attacks were cut in half. He then used his magic bullet to buy more time. He noticed that with magic bullets, he can still deal a critical strike. He purposely didn't kill this one fast because he checked the attack patterns of the monster. And with another magic bullet skill, this one was defeated. Hyun-sung just continued to wander around the dungeon to hunt for more. Meanwhile, Hyuna was on her way to the rehab center and was being accompanied by this Ajima. They were talking about his brother quitting his job and focusing on playing idea. She thought that her brother was just around level 10 to 15 right now. Hyun also saw these girls living their normal life. She thought she'd be just like that if the accident didn't happen, but she was not jealous at all because of the people she met on idea. Hyun also shared this information with Professor Mina. She told her about her brother playing idea. This little girl also told her about their bet. She was too happy because it's impossible for her brother to win this one. Back to Hyun-sung. He has cleared all the weak mobs. All that's left now was the mini-boss and the named boss. He has also sorted out his skills and tactics against his enemies. So he then decided to open the next door. This is the room of the Orc Shaman's vengeful spirit, and it also summoned more Orc warriors to help it battle against Hyun-sung. Our MC can't do anything but watch this madness. The shaman also buffed its minions, and our MC just let out a sigh. Although these guys were buff, Hyun-sung has already mastered their attack patterns. He just continued to slash his way through this horde of orcs. The Orc Shaman was also able to use fire and lightning spells. But as time goes by, this mini-boss stopped attacking. He ran out of mana. Hyun-sung killed the remaining orc warriors, and the only one left was the shaman. And he was also easily killed by Hyun-sung. Aside from the levels, the loot from this dungeon was also loaded. Even if Hyun-sung didn't have that much health left, he opened the next door for the named boss. But he was pissed from what he saw. It's just a tunnel going to the next level like a basement. The user management room was also a virtual reality area within IDEA. So the time in here was also slower than in the real world. These guys who monitor Hyun-sung have been doing this for almost 25 hours in game hours. The team leader also reported Hyun-sung to the higher-ups, but they told him to just let Hyun-sung do whatever he wants. The one who included the god class in the game was this lady. She's Minura. The god rank class descendant of Thananos was the strongest rank class in the game. She only created it for the storyline, not knowing someone will really get this. And now, her creation has started to create havoc inside the game. These lackeys reported that Hyun-sung was currently clearing the hidden dungeon. He was also expected to reach level 33 today. Most people take at least a week to reach this, but Hyun-sung only took a day. At level 30, he will get another skill to help him progress in the game. But after that, the real struggle will occur. Leveling up from 30-60 gives newbies a really hard time. So far, Hyun-sung has been lucky with all the drops and pulls he made, but the team leader can't do anything about it. A skill called Free of Mind was also activated. He forgot that he can use this skill to remove his stress. Meanwhile, at the Para Mountain, these groups of players were battling the Cyclops. This is also a place where even the highest ranked players can't last. Only the strongest players can hunt here, like these guys with a perfect coordination. This mage used her skill gravity meter. Then there was a huge explosion. This blonde girl decided to go in and save their mage. She was successful in getting her and found that the Cyclops was stunned for 5 seconds. She then ordered all of her teammates to focus all of their attacks on the monster. All the Cyclops could do was to scream in pain, and after a while, this group was successful in defeating the Cyclops Lord, Aptolican. Huge amounts of gold and treasures were also dropped. Their leader thanked everyone for all their efforts. All of them were too humble and expressed their appreciation to each other's roles. But then this guy butted in that they could have cleared this one faster if Hyuna was there with them. Turns out, these are the people within Rin's guild. This mage also brought up the topic about Rin's brother joining the guild. This is the Heroes Guild, and there are only 7 guild members including Hyuna. Their guild leader and the mage got legendary rank class, while the tank, SDI and Hyuna were heroic ranks. The other 2 were in unique rank classes. This guild only accepts applications from the best of the best, and their minimum requirement is that the player should be at least unique ranked. Aside from Hyuna's brother, Rin told them that her little sister also got a unique rank and she was hoping to let her join the guild. Knowing Rin's strictness, all the guild members agreed that if her sister reached level 100 they would allow her to join. In idea, it is also a common practice to create an alt. This will also allow players to level up their main while the other one collects materials for crafting. And recently, Rin has been using her alt to help her sister level up faster. After their little chat, Rin has decided to start distributing the items among them. This is the best part when raiding a dungeon. After that, they all decided to log out. And back to our MC, he was still busy killing the orcs. But this time, he reached the real boss room. Series of warnings appeared, but he still decided to go anyway. And there lies the mighty boss of the secret dungeon. This one was really huge compared to the first ones and it was sleeping. Hyun-sung thought that he should start attacking it and move to phase 2 immediately. But the monster heard Hyun-sung's weapon and woke up. His roar was strong enough to make Hyun-sung tremble. This is the power of the named boss. Our MC couldn't hold his excitement on killing this monster, so he jumped straight into the boss. But then, his vision started to become blurry. He tried keeping awake, but he couldn't keep his eyes open. And yup, the narcolepsy skill has been activated. Hyun-sung was forced to sleep. His character fell asleep while he was in battle, and the skill somnambulism was activated. Upon seeing this notification, people in the HQ all celebrated. The narcolepsy skill was activated at a very crucial time. Some of them thought that Hyun-sung would not be able to defeat the boss now, but this guy reminded them that the somnambulism skill will let the character be controlled by AI equal to the player's abilities. This man realized this. So Hyun-sung will still defeat the boss. But this team leader knows something good was about to happen. After 20 minutes of battling Karak, the AI controlling Hyun-sung's character defeated it. The AI's mechanics were even better than Hyun-sung's, so this one is a piece of cake. Then the moment the team leader was waiting for came. After defeating the boss, Hyun-sung's character went back to sleep. This guy was happy because the loot that the boss dropped will disappear soon, and our MC will not be able to get any of it. Meanwhile, Hyun-sung was still disappointed. He already knew that the skill would activate, but not in such an important moment. Hyun-sung then received a call from this person named Yeon. This guy was his best friend from middle school, and he told Hyun-sung that he has been doing well lately. He also has his own company now. Yeon revealed that his company is capitalizing on making videos about idea. With the amount of players playing the game and the demand for tips and info, lots of people were hiring video editors for Medub. Hyun-sung also told him that he had quit his job and he plans to make money with idea. Yeon immediately figured something out and asked Hyun-sung about his class. Our MC told him that he got a god rank. This made Yeon drink another shot of soju. He was also shocked upon hearing that Hyun-sung has already leveled up to 30 even if he's just been playing for half a day. With this, Yeon asked Hyun-sung if he would want to create videos with him. He also told Hyun-sung the potential earnings for uploading a video in Medub. Hyun-sung didn't even hesitate to accept the offer. Hyun-sung also demanded Yeon that they will split the earnings in half, but his best friend doesn't want that. It should be more favorable to Hyun-sung because he's the one providing the videos. Hyun-sung still insisted and Yeon pretended to agree. Back when they were still young, Yeon didn't have any friends and he was always bullied. Then Hyun-sung approached him and became his friend. With this, Yeon plans to give all of the revenue to Hyun-sung. What a good guy. After their reunion, Hyun-sung went home and immediately inserted a flash drive into his capsule. Then all of his battles started showing up and he copied the one with the secret dungeon. Hyun-sung also found some features he can use on recording some clips. That night, Yeon received Hyun-sung's email including his idea video. He opened the video and he found that Hyun-sung was wearing a mask. He then reviewed all of the clips, and they were all incredible. Most of them don't even need to be edited. Then Yeon skipped up to the boss fight. This is where he noticed something different. The play style Hyun-sung was using completely changed. This one was more precise and didn't give the opponent a chance to defend. Upon entering phase 2 of the boss, black lightning started to hit Karak, and then Hyun-sung used the Reaper's Chain skill, and with one final blow, The secret dungeon boss was defeated. All Yoon could think was hell of a fight. The next day, Hyun-sung saw that he was flooded by messages from Yoon. Yoon told Hyun-sung that he was up all night because of the video. This guy thought that the video was that bad, but Yoon said that it was the best video he had ever seen. He informed Hyun-sung that he doesn't have to worry about anything. This editor also plans to study more so he could bring out the best from the clips Hyun-sung sent him. Back with Hyun-sung, he was being asked by his sister about his rank, but he didn't want to tell his sister yet. She assumed that he should be at least a unique rank to be this happy. Hyuna was also shocked when she found out that her brother was already level 30. She still can't believe that he gained that much level in just one day. Hyun-sung also logged in again and he was bombarded with notifications. He was excited to see the items he got from the boss fight. He tried looking a little harder but he couldn't find anything. Hyun-sung was asleep for 40 hours and his stats have increased again, but then he saw the red notifications. This guy figured out what happened. He was not able to get any items or loot. And now, those are gone forever. But this guy moved on. He found out that he can now use Iris failed product if he distributes his stats well. He also saw that he has obtained another skill. This is Thanano's Nocturne. Every time Hyun-sung attacks someone, they will gain a nightmare stack. And this skill will deal 300% damage every stack his enemies get. Hyun-sung was so happy that it was an attack skill, but his expressions quickly changed when he remembered that a skill book should have been dropped from the boss fight. With this, Hyun-sung ran out of the village. He hunted lots of orcs hoping to drop a secret map again, but he found out that the passage was also gone. This guy has really lost it. The guards who were planning to get back their money decided not to do it anymore. But then, Hyun-sung was still thankful he didn't die from fighting the boss. He also decided to use this item. Hyun-sung tried equipping it with his sword and it fused immediately. This item has buffed up his weapon. With all of this, our MC thought that he should start hunting again. He found a new town suitable for leveling up and that is the town of Rehab. Hyun-sung used a teleportation scroll. Upon arriving in this town, Hyun-sung immediately noticed the gloomy faces of the people here. Some of them were begging for teleportation scrolls just to leave this place. He also thought that instead of begging, these people should just hunt monsters already. Not long after, he found out that he needs 2 more members to enter a dungeon. This is the struggle of solo players. He was back in town. Our MC was now one of the people who shouts looking for something while crying. At the town of Rehab, the alt character of Rin was also here. She is also looking for someone who can team up with because all the dungeons in Rehab require 3 people. Then he heard someone looking for teammates. It is Hyun-sung and he looks like a child who was lost in the middle of a grocery store. Rin thought that maybe he's also using an alt because of his equipment. Hyun-sung hasn't changed his beginner clothes yet. Then Rin approached him and told Hyun-sung that she was also looking for a party. Rin introduced herself to Hyun-sung and he did the same. She also told him about her sister who will join them in their hunt as well. This girl also took the opportunity to ask Hyun-sung if he could be with them for a while. Hunting in Rehab really needs a lot of time when leveling up. Hyun-sung told her about his level but Rin doesn't have an idea his level was that low. Rin also wondered if this man could keep up with their hunting speed. Her sister was a speed-based dual-blade wielder so they can really hunt in a fast pace. After that, Rin received a message from her sister and they will now meet up since Rin found another team member. Hyun-sung told her that he should buy a new sword first so Rin pointed out the direction of the blacksmith. Hyun-sung thanked her and happily rushed towards the blacksmith. Rin waited Hyun-sung and he was finally back. Hyun-sung was really satisfied with his new sword and its damage will be enough to slay level 120 monsters. Iris failed product also buffed the sword. These 2 arrived at the cafe where Rin's sister was waiting. Hyun-sung thought that she's too young. Maybe younger than Hyuna. Our MC introduced himself. And this girl's name is Yoon. The 3 continued to talk about their plans in the dungeon. Yoon told Hyun-sung that they were low level but their skills will be more than enough. Hyun-sung told her not to worry as he was also low leveled. He also thought that with her confidence, they should really be pretty strong. After that, Rin sent Hyun-sung the party invitation. This guy was only level 35. They never thought his level was this low and thought that they would just carry Hyunsung. But Rin remembered Hyunsung's reaction speed when he was running towards the blacksmith. And it was pretty fast and can be compared to level 80 seconds. She then thought that maybe this man should at least have a legendary rank class to have those kinds of stats. Hyunsung was still nervous because these two might cancel their party. But then Rin told him that it's fine and they will continue their party with him. Hyunsung also told them that he will be filming along the way. He's creating content for Medoob. After that, Hyunsung stood up and asked them to go and start the hunt, but Yoon told him that they have not yet discussed their strategies. This man has no idea that this is a thing because he usually just recklessly kills his enemies. The three arrived at the Lycan's cave. Then Yoon told Hyunsung to lead the way. She was trying to test Hyunsung's strength. Hyunsung figured that this was the case, so he happily said yes. He also wants to show them his skills. These two really underestimate him, and their hunt in the dungeon begins. Notifications saying that the dungeon was not cleared for a long time, so the monsters were all stronger. But they will also give more experience. Hyunsung also started filming and equipped his mask. These two were confused, and he said that this is just his persona for the video. Then a monster appeared. This is like a humanoid werewolf. The monster attacks and Hyunsung lunges in the same way. Rin and Yoon were surprised and terrified at the same time. They thought that Hyunsung will easily die at this rate, but Hyunsung cleanly slashed his enemy. This shocked this two blonde B. Hyunsung was overwhelming his opponent, and when this monster already had a stack of nightmares with him, Hyunsung used his nocturne skill. Black lightning appeared and attacked the monster. And with that, Hyunsung has killed the werewolf. These two still can't believe what they saw. Hyunsung has performed something Rin can't do even if she uses her main character. Yoon asked her older sister if something like that was possible. Rin was in awe. She thought that she should definitely recruit Hyunsung to their guild. Hyunsung was also happy because he finally showed his abilities to them. He then rushed to the next Lycans and still led the way. Yoon thought that Hyunsung was moving faster than her even though she's a speed-type player. Hyunsung met the Lycans head-on and slashed his way through them. After dealing damage and stacking nightmare debuffs on them, Hyunsung used his nocturne skill again. Yoon caught up with Hyunsung, but the battle was almost over. Hyunsung did one last slash and the heads of the Lycans fell on the ground. Yoon has now confirmed the difference of their strengths. Rin was also struggling to keep up with them. As soon as Rin caught up, Hyunsung proceeded to run and go to the next point. These two have no other choice but to follow his lead. The next batch of victims appeared in front of Hyunsung. Since his skills were still on cooldown, he will use them to experiment on his attacks. Our MC tried to use different patterns of attacks while still having fun. He also saw Yoon finally having her own battle. Hyunsung thought that dual blades were so cool and he would want to try those later. This man was really having fun inside idea. I will personally have fun as well if I get an overpowered class. The leader of the hero guild arrived, but it was already over. Hyunsung did the same thing again. He started running as soon as Rin caught up. They now think that Hyunsung was angry. At the hero guild's base, Sunny, their mage, was bored because all of her guild mates were out. But she got excited when she saw someone coming in. It's Hyuna. Sunny quickly welcomes her back. These two started chatting. Hyuna told her about her brother finally quitting his job to play Idea. She was also excited to let his brother join the guild. But Hyunsung needs to level up first. She told Sunny that her brother was able to level up until 30 with just one day. Sunny was amazed, but she thought that that was impossible unless someone has insane skills. Since Rin was playing with her alt, they thought they could ask her about this thing. Upon calling Rin, they heard that she was really struggling. Rin told that she'll just call them back later. Rin was busy, so these two decided to just go hunt together. These two blonde bitches were still running. They really thought Hyunsung was angry because they underestimated him. Rin's plan on recruiting Hyunsung was probably off the table. Then, Hyunsung found 11 Lycans. This guy wants to kill them all by himself. Our MC started with throwing his dagger. Then he followed it by using his magic bullets. Those who were hit by bullets were ignored by Hyunsung, and he proceeded to attack the remaining ones. He just needs to even graze them and put a nightmare stack on them. Then, He used his nocturne skill. While all the lichens were still stunned, Hyun-sung did a full swing attack, and he has killed 11 lichens again. But this guy was pissed because he has been killing lots of them but only leveled up once. Hyun-sung saw Rin and Yoon and thought that he had gone overboard. He asked them if they should rest first before continuing. These two felt relieved and they lay down on the ground. They didn't care if they looked ugly or not. While they were resting, Hyun-sung was still moving around and practicing with his sword. These two felt guilty and decided not to look at Hyun-sung. This guy was trying different kinds of things. It even decreased his HP because of the amount of strain his body has been getting. Even if they still look like some zombies, these two told Hyun-sung that they were done resting. This guy was really being misunderstood. Hyun-sung slowed his pacing down so that these two could keep up, but while they were running, he still tried to practice swinging his sword. These two really thought that Hyun-sung was punishing them. After running for some time, Hyun-sung's party has finally met an elite monster. Hyun-sung told them that he will handle the elite and leave the rest to them. Their fatigue was maxed out even if they were just running the whole time. But they just can't let Hyun-sung do the work, so they prepared themselves. Hyun-sung started his attacks. He stabbed the elite monster, then used his magic bullets. He also threw his dagger again, but the monster was able to deflect it. But this is just a distraction. Hyun-sung was able to land a hit after that. This pissed the elite lichen more. But with the amount of stacks this one got, the nocturne skill killed it. Since he's done, Hyun-sung used his time to observe Yoon and Rin's fighting skills. These two were really strong. After killing the remaining lichens, these two were really exhausted. They would really want to take a proper break this time. Hyun-sung sat down and chose to rest as well. But then Hyun-sung's favorite notification popped out. The narcolepsy skill activated. His vision started to be blurry again. It blacked out and the somnambulism skill was activated. Again, the skill has its way of activating in such a crucial time. The two also noticed that Hyun-sung started to sleep. Rin thought that this was just normal after hunting non-stop, but they were startled when Hyun-sung stood up. The somnambulism skill will be activated and will complete Hyun-sung's quest. They only rested for 30 seconds and now, Hyun-sung was running again. I feel bad for these two now. Rin and Yoon were still struggling to keep up with Hyun-sung. They were met with items lying on the ground. So these two decided to just pick them up for Hyun-sung, but they still needed to hurry. Rin and Yoon were dead beat for hunting in for 25 hours. They really want to have a rest now. Yoon was still leveling up, so it means that Hyun-sung was still killing monsters as they speak. Then Yoon saw something and pointed it out to her sister. Hyun-sung was in front of the boss room. This speed was really impossible. Usually, parties took 2-3 real-time days before arriving at the end, but it only took them 1 day. As they approached Hyun-sung, they felt something was off. This guy just opened the boss room. The two of them tried stopping Hyun-sung, but they were too late. They need to clear this boss room now before they can log out. The real Hyun-sung still has no idea what is happening now. He thought that since his character was sleeping, Rin and Yoon would just abandon him. He proceeds on researching for a place to hunt alone. He'll leave Rihan and choose another hunting spot. Yiwon also called him. He asked Hyun-sung if he was just doing alright. He told Hyun-sung that he noticed something when playing back the video he sent him. Hyun-sung's play style suddenly changed when he was battling the boss Carrick. Hyun-sung then revealed that he has a skill that makes an AI take over his place when battling. So their skills were really different. Yiwon thought that this was too awesome. He said that Hyun-sung was just like Jekyll and Hyde. Yiwon also sent the edited video to Hyun-sung to ask for his approval. Our MC received the email and played the video. He can't believe that this was his character. While watching the video, Hyun-sung thought that he should get some reference from it. Yiwon also changed the color of his mask when the AI took over. Hyun-sung learned more tactics just by watching his own video. Back to their party. This is the boss monster. This is a lot bigger and stronger than the mobs outside. It also attacked quickly, but Hyun-sung was able to block it. This monster was just too strong. It sent Hyun-sung flying. Rin and Yoon tried to prepare themselves, but they knew they were in danger. But 5 magic bullets hit the boss. This made the boss angry and rushed towards Hyun-sung's position. But he was able to dodge the attack and made a counter-attack of his own. This AI has been toying with this boss monster. This boss has already lots of nightmare stacks above him. And then Hyunsung used the Nocturne skill. This made the boss faint for 10 seconds. The AI didn't waste any second and attacked him. The nightmares were also activated, causing this boss to experience hallucinations and pain. Hyunsung was also able to attack him before the debuff wears off. After that, the Lycan woke up and started his counterattack. He's now weary about Hyunsung's Nocturne skill. 5 bullets hit the boss again, and this made him think that the Black Lightning will be next. But nothing appeared. The AI was now just doing basic attacks. The boss was now focused on defending himself from Hyunsung's sword. But then Hyunsung activated his Nocturne skill again. The boss was caught off guard and the skill landed a critical strike. Cerbis, the boss, fainted again and knelt down. He thought that he had completely lost against this guy. Then this boss let out a loud howl. Both Rin and Yoon knew the meaning of this. The second phase of the boss will now start. It's much stronger now. The eyes of Cerbis were full of rage because of the humiliating battle he got from Hyunsung. With his faster speed, he slashed Hyunsung, but it was dodged again. These two continued to observe Hyunsung and his superb controls. Out MC started his counterattack. He hit Cerbis using his sword like a lance. Every time this big bad wolf tries to launch an attack, Hyunsung will just create a distance between them to avoid Cerbis. Hyunsung used his magic bullets. This hit Cerbis and it made him anxious. Hyunsung used this to bluff this monster. It's still waiting and preparing for the Black Lightning to hit, but nothing happened. Cerbis thought that the skill was maybe on cooldown. Rin notices all what's happening in the battle. Hyunsung was messing with Cerbis' emotions. He constantly uses the threat that the Black Lightning has created in its mind. Cerbis tried to run and keep his distance from Hyunsung, thinking that it's faster than him. Then Hyunsung suddenly stopped. He used the Sabbath of the Dead skill. This skill was like a declaration that Cerbis will now die. It made him stunned and it lost its soul for 1 minute. All the damage it will receive for 1 minute will be doubled. Our MC used his Reaper's Chain and it pierced right through Cerbis' body. Then it was followed up by a Black Lightning. This poor werewolf didn't even have a chance. Cerbis was defeated, and it had concluded that the dungeon was now cleared. Hyunsung gained a lot of DP and experience. Their party also received a doubled amount of loot and all the best items had been dropped. Yoon also leveled up. A special notification also popped out. Hyunsung has reached level 50 and an exclusive quest was unlocked. Hyunsung slept again after his battle. These two just stared at Hyunsung's strange behavior. They concluded that they should just look after his items while he was asleep. They also thought about bringing Hyunsung to an inn, but they didn't go with this idea. This man was really in a deep sleep. Back at the Inferno's headquarters, the team leader found out that Hyunsung has reached level 53. He reached for his phone and started to type some numbers. This man reported to the higher-ups that Hyunsung's level because of the exclusive quest that was unlocked. The higher-ups told the team leader to start monitoring a certain Emperor NPC called Iron-Blooded Monarch. He also reported that Hyunsung was currently under the narcolepsy skill and he will wake up after 7 real-time hours. Hyunsung's exclusive quest made a huge castle spawn at Venia, a city within the Iron-Blooded Monarch's empire. The city of Venia was a city surrounded by water and it was inspired by Venice. It's one of the most beautiful cities inside Idea. The higher-ups were becoming wary because they knew that this NPC could try to send some survey corps and mess the quest. On the other hand, the team leader thinks that Hyunsung was the real problem here. Hyunsung needs to play as soon as his character is able to wake up, because if the Emperor manages to find the castle before him, it will cause a huge disaster. Currently, the mayor of Venia was this man, Dornum. The leader felt a little relieved because this mayor would just likely send some NPC troops to check the castle. But if the Emperor personally goes and checks the castle, he will surely wake this creature up. This is the snake wyvern Aquilor. This monster was sealed a long time ago by Thanano's disciple. If it wakes up now, even the highest leveled players in Idea will not be able to defeat this thing. This gave the team leader chills just by thinking about the worst case scenario. Then he remembered something. Because Hyunsung has unlocked the quest, this mysterious woman should also receive it. This player's class was also related to Thanano's and it is a legendary rank. Their main quest description was not the same, but they both need to prevent Aquila from waking up. Right now, the leader was hoping and praying that these two will peacefully team up for their quest. Meanwhile, at the castle of the iron-blooded monarch, this man was trembling in front of the emperor. He's too scared to talk because he might be immediately killed if he says the wrong words. He reported that a suspicious structure has appeared in the east side of Venia, but the emperor has no interest in this thing. This man said that he will just report it to the mayor of Venia. After this, he was dismissed by the emperor. At the HQ, all of them were celebrating. This emperor was still wondering why all of his subordinates were too scared of him. When he was still in his prime, he showed no mercy towards his opponents, all for the glory of his empire and to bring victories to his people. But right now, he's just being feared by everyone. And this made him bored to death. He thought that he should try some entertainment like trying to sneak up and leave his throne. But this will put the whole empire in danger. The level 100 monsters also don't give him the thrill he wants. Then he thought of something really interesting. The emperor will hold a tournament of power. All travelers will be able to join this competition and the grand prize will be a wish. This emperor will grant any wish that the winner wishes. And with that, the empire's fighting competition was posted and all players in the Korean server will be able to join if they want to. This is a huge event created by one powerful NPC inside the game. Back to Hyunsung. He's just observing his fight against Karak and gets bored. Then he thought about doing something while his narcolepsy skill was activated. He searched the internet and decided to attend a kendo class. Workshops and gyms like this started to also train people to improve their idea skills. Hyunsung thought that this would really help him become stronger. After some time, our MC has registered himself to a gym and he will now find a kendo dojo. He went to this place and found this shabby dojo. This old man opened the door. Hyunsung quickly noticed the muscles of this old man. They were all really developed for fighting. He then introduced himself and said that he would like to learn martial arts. The old man commended Hyunsung for his good observation skills and invited him to go inside. Inside this dojo, it was filled with the perfect equipment, from blunt weapons up to those dangerous real ones. The ceiling was also high to allow them to freely swing the weapons. As soon as the old man noticed that Hyunsung was done looking around, he asked him to take off his clothes. The old man said that they should now start and check each other's abilities. Hyunsung then prepared and took a sword as his weapon. He tries to warm up and get familiar with his sword. The old man noticed his movements and skills. He knew right there that Hyunsung really has a talent for martial arts. When he was ready, Hyunsung immediately lunged forward to attack. This old man used his spear and attacked our MC while maintaining their distance, but it was just deflected by Hyunsung. The old man was clearly impressed. Beginners usually drop their weapon after an attack like that. Hyunsung has not backed down and still tried to land an attack. He was then hit on his knee and made his balance unstable. The old man used this opportunity to attack. Hyunsung managed to shift his weight and prevented his body from falling. At the same time, he used his sword and counterattacked. Hyunsung got up. His main problem was his stamina. They have just started, but he's out of breath already. The old man thought that finally, he found a student worthy of teaching. These two wrapped up their practice match and the old man started asking Hyunsung questions. Hyunsung told him about him playing idea and he wanted to improve his swordsmanship further. He also told the old man about his aggressive style. Our MC also wants to learn the AI's kind of play style. He also wants to learn to wield another weapon on his left hand. The old man showed Hyunsung a fighting stance with a dagger in his left hand. He also demonstrated the advantages and attack patterns Hyunsung could do with this dagger. In addition, he could use the dagger to attack from a distance by throwing it to his opponents. Hyunsung was really impressed and found this style suited to him. He then asked the old man to start their training today. Back to idea. Rin was catching her breath because she was relentlessly fighting the same wolves Hyunsung had murdered last time. But this time, she's using her main account. She was able to defeat them with ease but not as fast as Hyunsung. She's wondering if she'll ever meet Hyunsung again. She really wants to recruit him. Last time, These two were forced to become walking storages for Hyun-sung's loot. They still waited for some hours, but Yoon had less patience than her older sister. She tried to force Hyun-sung to wake up. Then a notification appeared. Hyun-sung will be forced to log out because he's been sleeping for a long time. He will also be transported to the nearest city upon login. Then his character vanished. At the end, Yoon got all his items because they would likely meet again because of their levels. Rin really needs to find Hyun-sung as fast as she can. She's also waiting for Hyun-sung to upload his video on YouTube. But while waiting for this opportunity, Rin was determined to become stronger. She's the guild leader and she takes pride in her strength. She's also with these two and she's copying Hyun-sung's fast clearing tactics. Sunny and Hyuna were struggling to keep up with her. They now wonder why their guild leader was acting like this. After resting from his training, Hyun-sung's body was stiff. He then proceeds to use his computer and check some new developments on the game. He saw the news about the mysterious castle that has appeared in Venya. The mayor has also organized Serveri troops for it, and they were hiring more players to aid them. Hyun-sung recognized Venya. He excluded this city because a lot of players were hunting in this spot. This bored him and just went back to the gym to exercise again. After his session with the old man, he was clearly beaten to a pulp, but our masochist MC was glad because his movements were now more precise. He really craves improvement. After that, he logged into the game. Hyun-sung spawned in Rehab Village. As usual, his stats have increased again for sleeping such a long time. Then he noticed this man with his frog costume. This player buys and sells items. Hyun-sung approached him as he had some items that he didn't need. This frog trader bought all of his items for 32,450 gold. The price was doubled compared to if he sells his items to the NPC shops. Hyun-sung then checks all of the messages he got. Then he saw the most important one. It is his exclusive quest upon reaching level 50. Hyun-sung got excited. He heard these exclusive quests from the high-ranked players, but this one is for a god-ranked class. He opened the window and it showed the information he needed. The quest was about the only disciple Thanano's ever had. Hyun-sung needs to find the disciple and look for the assignments Thanano's had given to it. The first clue was a mysterious castle that appeared in Venya. The disciple apparently sealed an ancient evil dragon in here to protect the secrets of his master. The other assignments were still locked. They will slowly appear when Hyun-sung reaches the levels required for these quests. Every time Hyun-sung finds a trace, he will be given a god relic and a god authority skill. But if someone finds the trace beside him, he will fail all the quests. Our MC remembered the news he read about Venya. If he fails one quest, he will be back to level 1. A high-risk, high-reward quest. He tries to protest, but he can't do anything about it. He thought that the rewards were not bad either. A god's relic and a god's authority skill will surely make his life even easier. Upon realizing this, Hyun-sung's face turned into this. He ran and went to Venya right away. Hyun-sung was teleported to Venya and he quickly noticed its difference from Rehab. This place was filled with high-ranked players and they also have good equipment. Meanwhile, our overpowered MC only wears all the beginner clothes. This makes him some kind of weirdo in this city. He decided to buy a simple armor to not catch more attention. And this is what he got. A freaking jacket. With all the gold he has been getting, this guy bought a common grade armor and still regrets buying it. After that, he quickly ran to go to the castle. It was quite far and to reach it using a horse, it will take 3 in-game days. So he needs to start running now or else the survey troops will get there before he does. At the mayor's private residence, Dornum was asking this guy if all the preparations were going smoothly. This guy responded yes. He's the guild leader of the superhuman guild, Reiner. This player knows how to please this NPC and he's doing well. He just bears to do this kind of shit because the rewards were huge enough. He doesn't care about his pride at all. He'll do everything to get Dornum's approval. The mayor of Venya also gave him this badge. This will give him absolute power to lead and order all the survey troops for their quest. This man was looking to have a lot of contributions for this quest because he plans to take over as Venya's mayor when Dornum becomes a noble. His superhuman guild was also known to be notorious scammers. This guy was planning something. At Venya's East Plaza, The line for the soldiers' application was piling up. This one was assigned for their applications. Players only need to register and they will receive the quest. The mayor of Venia hired players because they were much cheaper than using the Empire's power to clear this quest. This man was getting bored with his job recruiting players. But then someone caught his attention and started to blush. He saw this lady. In idea, players were only allowed to change 10% of their real features. He thought that this lady was surely also this beautiful in real life. He usually only asks for the player's level, but this time he also asked for her name. This lady was clearly irritated, but she still gave her name, which was Han Siwa. She's also a level 110 magician. This man tried to hit on her, but this only annoyed Siwa. She really needs to go to the castle. She thought she did well on enduring this one. Then the next player was asked to come forward. It's Hyunsung and he's wearing his mask. He then told the man his level. This man got irritated because Hyunsung responded using an informal speech. He thought about doing something bad to Hyunsung because he was not respected. Meanwhile, Hyunsung was back in the city because he just ran for 30 minutes without a map. He wasted a lot of time. The team leader was observing his journey all along. This man was quite irritated because Sia and Hyunsung didn't even meet even though they were clearly within reach. But at the same time, he's thankful because both of them have reached Venia to clear their quest. But there's one problem. Both of them have different quest descriptions, and if they meet at the wrong time, these two might even fight each other instead of becoming a team. The team leader tried to check their individual quests. Hyunsung's quest was to find traces of the disciple, and Siwa's quest was to block the resurrection of the Wyvern Aquilor. He prays once again that things will end up the way they should be. In front of Venia, the Survey Corps has started their journey to the castle. Hyunsung thought that 1,000 people were asked to join, but instead, they started the quest even if they only had hundreds. He's now wary about this because the Superhuman Guild was also involved. Our MC plans to ditch this once they reach the castle and do the quest by himself. This man was still eyeing him and it made Hyunsung uncomfortable. He remembered that he might have spoken to this man informally. This man thought that Hyunsung was looking down on him, so he planned to do something as soon as they had a break. Then he was contacted by Rainer. He was told that they will sneak away and go to the castle secretly while trying to delay their convoy. These guys plan to clear the quest all by themselves and get all the rewards. This man's name was Adol, and he still keeps on staring at Hyunsung. Hyunsung knew that Adol was planning badly, so he'll do something about it too. Before the sun sets, Rainer ordered them to rest for 3 real-time hours, and then they will proceed on their mission. This is equivalent to 15 in-game hours, and that's too long. This made other players to just log out and just be back when they're ready. While waiting, Hyunsung thought that this was the right time to lure Adol. Our MC went to the forest and Adol saw this. He secretly followed Hyunsung in the forest. He ran towards Hyunsung with his weapon and he was about to attack. Adol heard the sound of chains while running, but there's no chain in Hyunsung's hand. Right after this observation, chains hit Adol all over his body. Hyunsung was also confused about what's happening. He recognized the chains and they were Reaper's chains, but something about them was different. Adol took true damage and he was held defenseless for 10 seconds. After that, Adol died and he will not be able to log in for a day. Then Hyunsung heard someone. It's Siwa. She asked Hyunsung if he's alright while holding this huge Reaper weapon. Our MC still can't believe what just happened. He just stared at his beautiful face. Let me give you guys some time to do the same. Haha. Hyunsung thought that her class should also be related to Thananos. After all, she used a legendary skill exclusively for their class. Hyunsung was sure that this lady was at least legendary. Siwa told Hyunsung that they should go somewhere safe for now, but this offer was declined by Hyunsung. He said she doesn't need to help him. It's confirmed. Our MC was not a simp. He tried to keep his distance from Siwa because he still doesn't know if she's an ally or an enemy. This left Siwa confused. She wonders why she felt lost. This is the very first time she got rejected. At the Korean HQ, the team leader was fuming because this should be the perfect time to form an alliance. But he quickly understood Hyunsung's perspective. They both have different quests, so they're wary of each other. His instincts told him that something ominous was about to happen. At the Survey Corps camp, someone announced that they will now head out. Most of the players have not yet returned because they told them that it's still 3 hours in real life's time. The players already knew that the Superhuman Guild were like this, but it still annoyed them. Our MC also tried to observe some of the members of the Superhuman Guild. He wonders if Adal had already reported his death to his guild mates, and lo and behold, he did. He called Rainer in real life and told them about the player wearing a mask. He also added that there's another one who helped Hyunsung. Rainer quickly logged in and informed his guild about the player who killed Adal. Then they made some preparations and formed some groups. Rainer also saw the player with a mask and he tried not to be obvious about it. He now has his attention towards Hyunsung. This window is the quest description for Siwa. She's trying to find more clues. Her quest was too vague and this irritates her. But one thing's for sure, she needs to prevent the people from entering the castle. Siwa also noticed something. The guild leader was constantly checking Hyunsung. She thought that Hyunsung was now in deeper trouble because she killed Adal. Siwa concluded that she needs to protect Hyunsung now as she takes responsibility for her actions. This lady also became obsessed with making Hyunsung acknowledge her. After 35 hours of walking, the Survey Corps has decided to camp again. Hyunsung was also thinking about taking a rest for about 2 hours in real life, but he will deal with these bunch first. They have been observing him since they started their journey. Hyunsung went to the forest again to bait these punks, and as expected, they followed Hyunsung. Our MC noticed that these guys were struggling to keep up with him, so he intentionally slowed his pace and these guys finally caught up with him. Hyunsung heard that they were also in search of his ally. This guy forgot that Adal could easily inform his guild mates using the messaging apps in the real world. Then he was confronted by the Superhuman Guild. While they were asking about his ally, our MC was getting excited. He will use them as test subjects for his skills. Hyunsung attacked before they could even react. He grazed this man in front and he was affected by the nightmare skill. He proceeds to go and get the others. All of them got slashed. Hyunsung was trying out attacking them with the dagger, and he's starting to get used to this new style. Then this guy commanded his guild mates to attack Hyunsung all at the same time. Hyunsung knew that he's a stealth class and his weapons were imbued with poison. Hyunsung deflected his attack and shot some magic bullets, and with another slash, this one died. Hyunsung saw that he could also gain some DP from killing these punks. He now has a reason to hunt bad players from time to time. Their battle continues, and as usual, Hyunsung used his insane reaction speed to dodge all of their attacks. He also toyed with them. Hyunsung was also able to use the dagger to attack this range class magician. All of them were clearly no match for Hyunsung. They were just like his test subjects. This man was also able to cut an incoming arrow in half using his dagger. Before killing the remaining ones, he smiled and said goodbye. Another set of DPs were added to him. With this, the battle was done. Hyunsung got some DP and items from these players. He also stopped his recording session. This guy got free content for his channel. While picking up the items, he got an important one. One of the thugs dropped a map of Venia and it marked the location of the castle. Hyunsung saw another map lying on the ground as well and thought that he really got lucky this time. He quickly gave up the quest he got from joining the Survey Corps because he can now head there all by himself. Hyunsung finally logged out. Meanwhile, Han Siwa watched Hyunsung's battle. She found out that he's powerful enough to handle these punks. She remembered the time she saved him and concluded that he intentionally lured Adal into the forest. Siwa also saw him getting the map. And now, she wonders what Hyunsung's real intention was. Just like Hyunsung, she decided to log out as well. After a while, our MC was back and he's on his way towards the castle. He uses his skills to quickly clear his path and defeat random monsters along the way. He's glad because he's now in the right direction. Then he heard a voice that said wow. He turned around and found nothing, so he went back to his way. It is Han Siwa. She stalks Hyunsung and was really amazed by his skills. The monsters that Hyunsung just killed were not weak, but it only took him a few seconds to eliminate them. This lady knew that Hyun-sung's class should be at least legendary. All of our MC's actions amazes Siwa. She even thought about hiring Hyun-sung to join her guild if she decided to create one. Oh no. Someone is in deep trouble. Our MC has really got this lady's attention now. Even with this kind of funny dodges, Hyun-sung still looks cool in her perspective. Meanwhile, the group that Hyun-sung killed has reported the incident to Rainer. This man will not let this go. He will bring a separate group with only fast guys to give them more chances of arriving first. Rainer will make sure that Hyun-sung and his ally will pay for messing up with his guild. But for now, this guy took a rest. Hyun-sung has been running all day and night. He's been doing this for 1.5 days. Along his way, he saw some loot drops. This means that someone was already ahead of him. Hyun-sung stopped and analyzed his situation. These guys were at least as fast as him and they were about 5 to 10 people. But he really could not be bothered as he's confident that he can still handle these guys. The karma points were also not accumulating because of his personal quest, so this means he could get more DP upon killing them. After a while, Hyun-sung found their camp. There were 5 of them and they looked much stronger than the first ones. This guy looks like a wild monster that was about to pounce on his prey. These guys were getting sleepy. They kept themselves awake by talking about this masked guy. Then they heard a song from a distance and thought there's an ambush. This is Hyun-sung's siren song. Their body also started to move on their own and now heading somewhere. Hyun-sung appeared in front of them. As soon as they noticed his mask, they all got hit and took significant damage. The nightmare skill also was activated and they saw hallucinations. Hyun-sung used his magic bullets after. This guy tried to force himself to attack Hyun-sung, but it's too late. They all got stuck on their heads. Then they were hit by the black lightning and died on the spot. This is the only guy who survived the attack. But Hyun-sung was already in front of him and slashed his head off. Hyun-sung got a new title for killing a player who's 100 levels ahead of him. This gave all of his stats another 20 points each. This is the legendary title he got. Levels are just numbers. This gave our MC 20% buff on his attacks when battling players or monsters with levels above his. It also buffed his experience gain by 30%. After that, Hyun-sung noticed that Rainer's group had also arrived. Rainer was pissed because he thought that his subordinates were still not here. As his greetings, Hyun-sung fired his magic bullets, and all of them got hit. This triggered the notification for starting a fight against a fellow player. This preemptive attack will also prevent them from logging out of the game. Hyun-sung toyed with his victims. As soon as the battle mode was removed, he attacked them again. This has pissed Rainer because they have no idea where this player is. This went on for 10 fucking minutes and it enraged this man more. Then, Hyun-sung appeared in front of them. The party was about to attack him. But when you guys see these black orbs above their heads, you already know what's coming. Thanano's Nocturne was activated and these guys were hit by the black lightning. These victims died that easily. With this, Hyun-sung can now freely do his quest. His only obstacle with this mission was Siwa. He's still not sure if she's an ally or not. Hyun-sung decided to just worry about things later and he logged out. Meanwhile, Hyuna was not looking great as she ate with her brother. She explained that this was because of their guild master. Rin changed her style and now she hunts quicker than their usual pace. This girl has no idea that her guild master was influenced by Hyun-sung. Hyun-sung was just glad that his sister was enjoying idea because her guild mate seemed nice. Her brother noticed that Hyuna's guild only consists of a few players. She then discussed that each guild's mission was different from others, and they were still able to do their duties because of that. She also added that her guild was different from others because all of them clearly just want to have fun and play the game. And after all of these sales talk, Hyuna asked her brother if he's interested in joining her guild. Hyun-sung declined the offer. He told her that his level was still low so it will not be great to have him join now. This guy really cares about her sister's reputation. And since he has nothing left to do, Hyun-sung decided to go and do some exercise. But before heading out, he remembered the clips he recorded, and his fight against the first party was the only useful one, especially it has this cool clip where he split an arrow in half. Hyun-sung then sent this clip to Yeon. At the gym, Hyun-sung was busy running on a treadmill. Then he saw a news being broadcasted about idea. They were talking about the superhuman guild and their attempt to fool the people around Venya. Apparently, Rainer and his guild were nowhere to be found. And of course, we all know that it was because of Hyun-sung. He killed these guys and now they can't log in. This news has really got the people mad. The Superhuman Guild is now in trouble for manipulating and controlling an event. Hyun-sung remembered Seowa and thought that he's still concerned about her. He thought that no matter what happens, he needs to arrive first to the castle. On the other hand, Yi-won was already watching the clips that Hyun-sung had sent him. He noticed that Hyun-sung's movements now were all more refined and thought that his best friend had already adapted the AI's movements. His employees were also watching the clips and they couldn't help but to be amazed by Hyun-sung's skills. Meanwhile, Hyun-sung was also busy training in the dojo. The old man was starting to be scared by this man's growth. His stamina has also increased by a lot. He thought that Hyun-sung was a monster. The old man decided to get more serious in their sparring, but as they exchange attacks, he feels he is being overpowered by Hyun-sung. This old man decided to stop their session for today. He noticed Hyun-sung's hand. It was already bleeding, but this man still thought that it's fun. What a masochist. After the old man has bandaged his cuts, Hyun-sung told him that he'll be back tomorrow. This old man used Hyun-sung's cut as his alibi to avoid their training. He told him to go and get some rest first. Our MC thought that this is the right time to turn them into calluses so he'll come back again tomorrow. I think this old man regrets his decision to take Hyun-sung as his student. After that, Hyun-sung was having some barbecue with his sister and their caretaker. He also asked them for a YouTube channel. He told them that Elon was starting his channel and he needs help on naming it. Hyun-sung informed them about its theme of having two identities. The character has two different styles. Then this Ajuma suggested the name Asura. She told Hyun-sung about the character named Asura that was half male and half female. There's also a god named Asura and he has 3 faces. The siblings liked the suggestion and Hyun-sung has decided to use this as his nickname. After their meal, he quickly logged into the game because he has a lot of things to do today. Hyun-sung decided to start his pace slow and do some stretching first. He also checked the map while doing this, but he was stopped by someone. It was Han Seowa and she's telling Hyun-sung that he can't go any further. Right now, this lady's words weigh much heavier. She's determined. While Hyun-sung was busy killing Rainer's subordinates, Seowa was already watching him. She's also present when Hyun-sung killed Rainer. Turns out, she logged in earlier than Hyun-sung, and she has been waiting for him since. She went to a tree and decided to camp there until Hyun-sung arrived. This girl has been too patient waiting for her crush. It has been 2.5 days and this is what she looks like now. As soon as Hyun-sung appeared, she approached him without even thinking. She shouted at Hyun-sung. Seowa was still irritated and this made Hyun-sung slightly scared. But he thought that this lady was not with Rainer's team. These two were thinking about the same thing. They can't just reveal their mission to each other easily. The team leader was still observing them and he got really frustrated. Hyun-sung initiated and asked Seowa what she's talking about him not going to the castle. She decided to come clean and be honest. She answered that she's in the middle of a quest and she was tasked to prevent people from entering the castle. Seowa didn't reveal her mission totally. Still, it is not a lie. Hyun-sung decided to gamble as he also has a mission like her. Our MC told her about the wyvern aquilor. This made Seowa react like this. Hyun-sung knew this was not enough so he added the god of death, Thananos. Hyun-sung told her that since they both have the skill Reaper's Chain, their mission might be related. Seowa was also caught off guard with this information. She never thought that someone could have Reaper's Chain as well. She wondered if Hyun-sung had copy skill, but this lady gambled and asked if she could trust Hyun-sung. Our MC told her that he's also a legendary rank and it's also related to Thananos. Seowa knew that Thananos was the strongest god in idea and maybe it's also possible to have 2 legendary class under him. Hyun-sung is still trying to gain her trust and he showed her his map. He already memorized this because he thought that this woman would try to steal it from him. He also offered it to Seowa. He's now waiting if all of this worked out. Siwa revealed that she was observing him the whole time. Right from killing another group up to killing Reiner, she's now decided. She's gonna trust Hyunsung. She then apologized for following him. These two finally talked about the correlation of their quest. Siwa has completely revealed her quest. She told Hyunsung that she needs to block the Wyvern's resurrection. She whines to Hyunsung because her quest was too vague. Hyunsung's quest description was the opposite. It's detailed, but this gave Hyunsung an idea that her quest was different from his, and now he wonders why. Han Siwa continued to whine about the god of death. She was also given skills that were too much to handle. This kind of whining has made Hyunsung relate to her, and he concluded that she's telling the truth. These two were really both fed up. Hyunsung started to open up as well and ranted to Siwa. With this, they concluded that they really have a lot in common. Hyunsung also felt relieved because Han Siwa was not an enemy. She's just naive. But our MC still decided to not tell her everything, especially their rank. This makes her a direct subordinate of Hyunsung. While she was still complaining, Hyunsung remembered to introduce himself. They have been busy with their rants and forgot to ask for each other's names. Siwa asked Hyunsung about his mask, and he told her that it's just his persona. Even with his mask on, Hyunsung looked cool in Siwa's perspective. But then he removed his mask. Han Siwa was bewildered. She thought that Hyunsung was really handsome. And he has great skills as well. This lady was in it deep. It's always the quiet ones. After that, these two decided to make a run going to the castle. Siwa still can't get enough of Hyunsung. She still admires him as they run. She knew that Hyunsung would make it big as a YouTuber. Hyunsung was also amazed because this is the first time someone managed to keep up with his speed. Being too competitive, Hyunsung was determined to not lose, but he's clearly struggling. Meanwhile, Siwa was just thinking about an excuse so she could send him a friend request. She mustered her courage and boldly told Hyunsung that they should add each other. She told him that it was just for this mission and it meant nothing more. Hyunsung found her weird for saying lots of things, so he's the one who sent a request. And with that, Siwa was successful on her mission. This is the view of the mysterious castle. These guys have been running for 25 hours, but instead of being tired, Hyunsung was excited. Siwa was moved with Hyunsung's determination and strength. She wants to become stronger. They arrived at the front of the castle, but there's a shield protecting it. Right when they were about to enter, Siwa was blocked. She's told that she can't enter the castle while the test is ongoing. Hyunsung also got some messages, but they were not the same as Siwa. He's the only one who could enter the castle, and he needs to pass a test. If he fails, the Wyvern will resurrect. Hyunsung told her about the requirements. Siwa thought that this castle appeared because of Hyunsung. She then encouraged Hyunsung to just go and do his best while she protects the castle. Hyunsung agreed and just suddenly went off. The pressure outside the castle changed. She's pissed because Hyunsung didn't even say goodbye. Siwa activated her skill. Zone Declaration. Ominous aura filled the surroundings. She positioned herself at the center of the castle's entrance. Siwa activated her Saint skill, and her looks changed. She looks more suitable to be Thanano's disciple now. This lady was too dangerous to mess up with. She's like a female version of Hyunsung and worthy to be a Reaper wielder saintess. Siwa used another skill called Reaper Summon. This is some soul leveling kind of shit. This lady just summoned these shadowy fighters. She commanded them to defend and kill everyone who tried to enter the castle. Siwa still felt the goosebumps from using this skill. She's still not used to its aura. She just hopes that Hyunsung could pass the test. Meanwhile, our MC was in front of the Wyvern. It's over 100 meters in height. Hyunsung felt some tremblings. A notification popped out. Hyunsung discovered the sealed Wyvern Aquilare. This achievement gave Hyunsung +5 on all of his stats. Then a desk and a chair appeared in front of him. This is the first part of the test. Every time Hyunsung will get a wrong answer, the difficulty of the next test will increase. It's really a test, and this is the first question. Thanano's full name. Our MC has this smile on his face while taking the test. But this bastard threw his pen and decided to not answer anything. This guy doesn't know anything about his god. It lasted 10 minutes before it ended, and it reminded Hyun-sung about the consequences of his actions. This man was too busy leveling up and didn't pay any attention to the descriptions of his quests. But instead of being scared, this man was excited because he's gonna face the highest difficulty of the test. This is not a punishment for him. It's a damn reward. The time was up and he got all the questions wrong. His mission was to not die while facing the wyvern's doppelganger for 1 hour. The statue became alive and it emitted too much pressure. The wyvern quickly attacked. Luckily, Hyun-sung was able to dodge it. If not, he's surely dead. The scream of this wyvern made Hyun-sung's body tremble. This is the disaster that the whole game would have to face if Hyun-sung fails this quest. Hyun-sung also had difficulty moving, so he removed all of his equipment. He also used all of his remaining points on increasing his agility. Hyun-sung consumed some health potions. This is the first time we've seen this guy having some difficulty. The wyvern spread its wings and started to fly. The force its wings created were enough to make the boulders fly towards Hyun-sung. After all of this, only 5 minutes have passed. Hyun-sung tried to hide behind the rocks to try and observe the wyvern first, but it started to charge its power. Hyun-sung used his siren song and it disrupted the wyvern. It only delayed the inevitable. Hyun-sung also revealed his position. The wyvern let out a fire breath. Hyun-sung just barely survived that attack. To top it off, this is just a doppelganger. The real wyvern would be way stronger than this copy. But this idea pissed our MC. He will now start his counterattack. He used magic bullets and daggers. But it didn't penetrate this wyvern's scales. But he still noticed that nightmare stacks still worked out. Hyun-sung started to equip his weapons again. This is badass. MC turned his recording first and will now start his raid. He started off using Thanano's Nocturne and it dealt a critical strike to the wyvern. Even if the attack was effective, its effects were cut in half because this monster's level was too high. Hyun-sung thought that he's screwed. At the Korean HQ, these guys were also watching Hyun-sung's battle. They were all scared because even if they organized all of the strongest players in the Korean server, they doubted they could defeat the real wyvern. The team leader was also at the edge of his seat because Hyun-sung chose to battle the most difficult version of the test. Back at Hyun-sung, he continued to attack and he's slowly dealing some damage. This guy also figured out the wyvern's weakness. It's weak to melee attacks. Hyun-sung slashed its underbelly and then used the Nocturne skill again. This is not enough to defeat this monster. While the wyvern was still affected by the nightmare skill, Hyun-sung jumped towards it. This is his trump card. Attacking the reverse scale. It's the weakness of all the dragons. After bombarding it with his slashes, he used the black lightning again. Hyun-sung only has 10 minutes remaining. The wyvern was trying to charge another fire breath again, but it was interrupted by the siren's seduction. This delayed the attack and gave Hyun-sung enough time to dodge. He also used this to attack the wyvern and it made its stamina below 10%. This triggered another phase. The wyvern will now be awakened after 1 minute. It will be immune to all abnormalities after that. Hyun-sung knew that this was his only chance to defeat this enemy. He quickly used the skill Sabbath of the Dead. This skill will make the victim asleep and take double damage from the hits it will receive. But the wyvern was too powerful. It resisted the sleep effect and casted another fire breath. Hyun-sung didn't dodge the attack, but instead, he faced it head-on. The wyvern was pierced with chains. It counterattacked with another fire breath. Hyun-sung was still in mid-air. He couldn't dodge this attack. He then used his Berserker skill. This skill will ignore all of the damage he'll receive for 10 seconds and will increase his attack power by 50%. Our MC has risked everything with this attack because if this fails, the skill will make him faint for a few seconds. Hyun-sung used another Thanano's Nocturne, and notifications of him leveling up started to appear. This guy has defeated the wyvern. He didn't just try to survive within the 10 minutes. He exceeded his mission. Even after winning, he thought that he's so close of getting fucked. Hyun-sung still can't believe that he managed to pull this impossible mission off. With this achievement, his stats were all increased by 30 points each. He also received 2000 DP for defeating the wyvern. These were the new titles our MC got. His main mission was also cleared. This guy didn't forget to collect all of his loot drops. Then this guy appeared in front of him. He greeted Hyun-sung as his god. This is Thanano's disciple. But it was only a recorded hologram. The disciple said that if Hyun-sung just dodged the wyvern's attack, a different version of this mission's ending would have been triggered. But he expected and knew that if it's Thanano's descendant, Hyun-sung will also have a fucked up personality. This is just a hologram, so Hyun-sung would only listen to what he will say even though he's pissed. After messing around, the disciple will now give Hyun-sung his reward. But he needs to choose between the god's relic or the god's authority. Turns out, he can't have both now. Hyun-sung chose the authority and he was given two options. Whichever authority will not be chosen, he can still have it in the future. The first one is this skill, Thanano's Call. It consumes 1000 DP to activate, but this skill will kill all beings within 100-meter radius. This is just some mass murder shit. Hyun-sung knew that this was just too powerful, but then he saw the second one and chose this instead. Back at the Korean HQ, the team leader was shocked because Hyun-sung got a legendary item and a legendary skill from the loot drops. On top of that, he also received a new overpowered skill that will really snowball his way to the top. The team leader decided to report this again to the higher-ups. The skill that our MC chose was this one, Thanano's Lucid Dreaming. This skill has two effects, a passive and an active one. The passive effect lets Hyun-sung obtain double DP and it will also lessen the cooldown of the DP store in half. The active skill was that it will consume one level permanently, but this will give Hyun-sung absolute power for 1 minute. He can use any of his skills without any cooldown. This made Hyun-sung happy, because he will now be able to get 2 legendary skills in just 1 month using the DP store. After choosing an authority, the disciple said his goodbye, but they will meet again when Hyun-sung reaches level 100. He also told Hyun-sung that the castle will disappear after a minute, so he should hurry getting out. This pissed Hyun-sung even more and he'll make sure he gets to punch this disciple next time. Hyun-sung was able to escape right before the castle disappeared. He was greeted by Siwa and she asked him if he failed. Hyun-sung answered no and Siwa immediately knew that the castle was made by the disciple. She has also encountered that man before. She's also glad because her quest was also completed. She checked the reward she got, and as usual, they're not that great. Siwa asked Hyun-sung if he got some good skills or items from defeating the wyvern. He clearly forgot about these and checked his inventory. Our MC was clearly happy with the things he got. First is these heroic grade boots. This gives him a 10% increase in both movement and attack speed. It also gives him a new skill called Mirage, which creates a clone of himself. The next one was a Belt of Dreams. This will save him from 5 unavoidable attacks per day. It's too useful in crucial moments. Hyun-sung also got Killian's ring, but he still can't use this item yet. As for the legendary item, he got the Worm's Heart. If he consumes this, it will give him plus 500 stats on power and intelligence. It will also double his intelligence points permanently. A dragon language skill book was also dropped. If Hyun-sung used this, he would acquire the dragon language skill. Our MC used the book and learned the dragon language. When using this skill, all skill cooldowns will also be ignored, but it will consume double mana consumption. Siwon noticed that Hyun-sung was happy, so she knew that he got some great ones. These two also decided to part ways now. Their mission was successful and they were both grateful to each other. Hyun-sung was the first one to head out. Han Siwa got this skill called Wake Up Song. This gives her the ability to wake up an ally that will hear her song. She thought that this was just too much of a skill, but this one was too compatible with Hyun-sung's narcolepsy skill. If only she knew about it. Meanwhile, Hyun-sung was back at an inn and he was about to consume the Worm's Heart. He also used his other equipment. Right now, this is the stats of our overpowered MC. He's also now level 74, and got a lot of ability points to spend. He used 25 of these points to increase his reaction speed and the rest were put to strength. After a long and tiring day, he decided to log out. Hyun-sung met up with Yiwon after that. This guy was not able to get some sleep because of the clips Hyun-sung has been sending him. Yiwon also asked him about the name of his channel, and Hyun-sung told him that he would like to use the name Asura. Yi-Hwan quickly knew the reason behind it and he found it really fitting for Hyun-sung's character. These two continued to chat about the videos and whatnot. Yi-Hwan also learned that Hyun-sung was already farming around the Veni region. He asked about Hyun-sung's level now. This guy told him that he's currently at level 74. His best friend can't believe the way he progresses in the game. Meanwhile, Rainer was pissed because of what happened. He knew that he can't use his character now because he's a wanted man in Venia. His guild's image was also messed up by Hyun-sung. He logged in again and this time, he will use his other character that has a unique rank class. Hyun-sung also logged in back to the game. He gained additional stats for sleeping 31 hours. He remembered that at level 60, players get another skill and he checked his. He got Thanano's collection. This lets him collect the souls of the boss monsters he defeats. Hyun-sung didn't really understand the purpose of this skill, but he thought that someday it will be useful. Our MC decided to take it easy and start getting some simple quests. He has been grinding non-stop since he started playing this game. He thought it's not a bad idea to chill for a while and enjoy the view of the game. Hyun-sung got this quest. He just needs to collect some shark's fin. After accepting the quest, he met this man again, the frog man who bought his equipment last time. They greeted each other and introduced themselves. The frog man's name was Amir and he asked Hyun-sung if he would like to join their party. Amir's party was also heading out of the underwater cave. He told Hyun-sung the benefits he could be getting if he joins their party. Amir will buy all the items Hyun-sung wants to sell while they are hunting. This will give Hyun-sung enough space to just keep farming and killing monsters. Hyun-sung liked the idea and accepted the offer. Our MC joined the party and he's the lowest leveled one. All of them exceeded level 100. After that, Amir introduced Hyun-sung to the other members, and they welcomed him quite nicely. There's an archer, a healer and a mage, but deep within their sweet smiles, they were already eyeing Hyun-sung's equipments. These three have a separate group chat for them and they are planning to steal from Amir and Hyun-sung. This guy has no idea what's happening and decided to start their hunt. While they were on their hunt, Amir was always so close on getting hit by these monsters. Hyun-sung was there to rescue him every time. The archer was also not bad. His skills were great. Whenever Hyun-sung also receives some damage, the healer is attentive and heals him quickly. As for the mage, her magic was also enough to kill one monster instantly. These three noticed Hyun-sung's skill and they thought they would have a hard time executing their plan. Hyun-sung found that this kind of pacing was fun. He intentionally holds his strength and blends in nicely. Amir also purchased the items from their hunt and Hyun-sung got 547,000 gold. After that, the party rested for a while. They also continued to hunt for more monsters and Hyun-sung noticed that the monsters were getting stronger. Our MC got his quest item and his bonus gold for the items he sold to Amir. Amir suggested that they should take a break again and this started to piss Hyun-sung. These three were also gossiping to each other all the time and Hyun-sung noticed that they were planning something. Whenever the backlines were in trouble, Amir used his aggro skill. He throws a coin towards the monster and then he will be targeted. So far, their teamwork was working out pretty well. But then the archer suggested they keep on hunting and they should head towards that direction. He said that he saw some monsters in here. He thought that he could fool everyone because of his high reaction speed. Little did he know that Hyun-sung's stats were much higher than his. At this moment, our MC knew that they were into something. Their actions also started to get sloppy and obvious. But Amir was just too kind and chose to trust these punks. The archer led them into this secret dungeon, and then it opened. Amir was too amazed that there really is something in here. While they were walking, these three had some smug faces. I mean four. Hyun-sung included. At the end of the tunnel, the party saw another door. The archer said that he'll buy some arrows from Amir because he already has run out of them. Hyun-sung thought that there's something wrong. He was expecting them to attack before they reached the monsters. Our MC was getting bored waiting for their trap. Before facing the boss of this dungeon, Amir gathered them again and told them to be more careful. After that, they opened the door and it's the den of the blade-toothed Laquishan. This is the boss of this dungeon, a four-armed shark. As usual, Hyun-sung got excited. He also glanced at his teammates before attacking. In a swift motion, Hyun-sung managed to land an attack. Amir followed it up with his aggro skill. Hyun-sung used this opportunity to get behind the monster and attack one of its eyes. This is a chance to attack it all together. The archer and the mage used their skills. Hyun-sung thought that this would also be the perfect time to try his new skill, Mirage. He was beaten by the monster, but his body slowly turned into black dust. Hyun-sung was already behind the monster and did a series of slashes. But this boss was tough and managed to counterattack. These three suddenly tried to help Hyun-sung, but this is what they have been waiting for. Some of their attacks also landed on Hyun-sung. With this, the boss managed to bite Hyun-sung for real this time. He managed to hit its neck, but he was also deeply wounded. Hyun-sung consumed a health potion right after. These three can't believe that he managed to survive that. Hyun-sung noticed that their attacks were too precise. These guys were veterans. The archer commanded the mage to attack with lightning bolt again, and she needs to aim properly at Hyun-sung. She made it look like a mistake, but Hyun-sung dodged it and it hit the monster. The healer also let out another attack, but it was also dodged by Hyun-sung. They were starting to get confused. Amir gave them a thumbs up because of their attacks. Eventually, the boss was defeated, and these two thanked the veterans for their hard work. Our MC was really grateful for their pathetic skills. After that, the party exited the dungeon and Amir started to give them their fair share of the loot drops. They only got 4 item drops and Amir decided to give all the items to each of them. These guys picked items without even asking Hyun-sung if that's okay with him. In the end, Hyun-sung got the skill book. It's a rare skill that lets the user summon sharks made out of water like Kisama from Naruto. Hyun-sung was satisfied with this skill because he can spam this using the dragon language. Amir thanked Hyun-sung for his contributions and they added each other as friends. Our MC now has 2 friends in his list. The veterans also went on their way. Their attitudes completely changed. Hyun-sung also said his goodbyes to Amir and went on his way as well. Amir was happy because he met such an amazing man. He then equipped his legendary backpack. This man will head to Venia again. Meanwhile, these veterans were waiting for this moment. They planned to attack Amir when he's alone, but then they heard a voice behind their back. Before they could turn their heads around, they were killed by Hyun-sung. He also got the items these ones got from the dungeon. Hyun-sung also found out that he can reduce karma points by using his DP points. This is just too convenient. After a day of not being able to play, these three were back and they were now anxious. They thought they were now safe and were planning to have other victims. But they heard the same voice again. And poof, they were dead again. Our MC was starting to enjoy killing players for fun. Look at this face. Meanwhile, his YouTube channel was already ready. It only has 1 subscriber and no videos yet. Yiwon was kinda nervous because he's now uploading the first video. After that, Hyun-sung logged out. Then he hears Hyuna's voice and she's calling him. Hyuna was watching Asura's video. She told him that this player's skills were just too insane. This is the clip where Asura managed to split an arrow in half. Hyun-sung accidentally said thanks to Hyuna for praising this player's skills. He then created an alibi that he's thanking Hyuna because of his friend. It's for Yiwon's channel. Hyuna was just too fascinated and asked if Hyun-sung could help her contact Asura. This guy knows he's in trouble. Hyuna wanted his brother to ask Asura if he could join their guild. She then revealed to Hyun-sung the qualifications they uphold in the Hero Guild. The first thing is that applicants should be at least unique. She also showed enthusiasm while telling her brother about her guild. This is enough to make our MC think about joining them someday. Hyun-sung agreed that he'll try to make Asura join the Hero Guild, but he told her that he can't promise anything. After that, Hyun-sung carried Hyuna to assist her getting back to her capsule. He then noticed that his sister had gained weight. Hyuna was obviously irritated with her brother's observation. She told him that he should not do that to other girls. She then teased her brother from not having any romantic relationships, and this comment was spot on. Hyun-sung then received a call from Yiwon telling him that he had already uploaded the video. He also told Hyun-sung that he should check the top searches on the internet. These were the most searched topics right now. His video already has about 30 million views. This is just insane. Hyun-sung's channel also got 1.6 million subscribers. This part of this manhwa inspired me to do my best on reaching my goal of becoming a great manhwa recap channel. Back to the recap. Yoon was busy battling this weird-looking Venusaur. She managed to land a hit on its nape. This weird-looking Venusaur was called Sapling Bear, and it was stunned for 5 seconds. Yoon finished her attack with a swift slash all over its body, and she was able to defeat it. While picking up the loot drops, Yoon remembered Hyun-sung. She still has his items from their raid last time. She then went back to the city. Yoon was still waiting for Hyun-sung at the Reha village. She heard a lot of players talking about this player named Asura. She also saw Asura being featured at the home page of ID itself. Yoon thought that this guy was definitely Hyun-sung. While she's watching his video, she can't help herself but to be amazed because Hyun-sung's movements now were more refined. She quickly went to Venya after this. At the Hero Guild's house, Rin was also watching the video of Asura. While Rin was too focused on checking where Asura was, Hyun entered her room. She told Rin that this man's video has already reached 70 million views. She also told her that her brother was acquainted with Asura. Hearing this, Rin got excited and made a request to Hyuna. She wanted Hyuna to relay a message to Asura. She really wants Asura to join their guild. Rin also wanted to return Asura's items from their last raid. Hyuna was shocked when she heard that her guild leader had already been on a raid with Asura. After a while, Hyun-sung came back home and he was greeted by Hyuna. She asked her brother if he had already talked with Asura. Hyun also told him that apparently, Asura has some items to claim from their guild master. This is where Hyun-sung knew that Rin was maybe using her ult that time. Our MC knew that this would complicate things. If he'll end up meeting Rin again, she'll surely remember his face and then Hyuna will know about his secret. Hyun-sung made an alibi that Asura was a very shy person. He doubts that he'll have time meeting them personally. Meanwhile at the Karen Empire, this man informed the Emperor that the preparations for the tournament had already progressed smoothly. It will be ready in a month. The Emperor was clearly excited about this tournament. He told them that it should end up that way he wanted. Players will be separated into 4 different categories and will be ranked according to their strength. At the east part of Venya, these players were scared from what they were seeing. A horde of monsters have started to make their way towards the city, and none of the players could stop them. They were all just killed. These monsters' goal was to follow a certain command, and that is to kill Thanano's descendant. While all of this chaos was happening, the root of the problem was busy checking his stats. He'll soon reach level 100 if he hunts by himself. He remembered that the disciple might have prepared another test for him, so he needs to gain some basic knowledge about Thananos. He then went to the Pantheon to learn more about this god. While he's on his way, he noticed that the guards didn't even check his credentials. All of the priests inside were also trying their best to avoid him. Other players also noticed that the NPCs were avoiding Hyun-sung, so they just did the same. Our MC was starting to get annoyed because he didn't even know the reason. Then he saw this old man. Hyun-sung knew that this old man's position was definitely higher than the snob priests. Hyun-sung was just about to approach him, but this old man bowed to him. The old man also apologized for failing to escort Hyun-sung. Turns out, this old man was a bishop of this temple, and he kept on trembling as he spoke with Hyun-sung. The people around them started to wonder who Hyun-sung might be. Hyun-sung was invited by the bishop inside the Pantheon. He introduced himself to Hyun-sung and told him that he's the one in charge of this temple. This bishop was still shaking, so Hyun-sung told him to calm down, and the door behind them was destroyed. Hyun-sung thought that this was a kind of attack. He saw a man wearing a priest's uniform. This weird guy was crying and uttered the word God. After that, he bowed his head so hard that it hit and cracked the ground. Tears and blood started pouring down as this man praised Hyun-sung. He introduced himself as Libius, and he's Hyun-sung's servant. Our MC found him weird and wanted to escape this place. Hyun-sung also found out that Libius was an NPC related to his Thananos. This servant told his master that he'll get a new skill if Hyun-sung will go to the altar. This man was quickly persuaded as soon as he heard the words new skill. This is Thanano's altar. Libius told Hyunsung some information about this place. Our MC replied using an informal speech. Then this happened. Libius was not expecting his master to treat him as equal. He wants to be treated as a servant. He told Hyunsung that's the only way to ascend. Hyunsung agreed because he doesn't want to keep this scene from happening. He then asked Libius to tell him everything he knows about Thananos. Libius summoned a chair and some tea for his master. He told Hyunsung that Thananos was the strongest among the gods. Hyunsung told him that he already knew that. And the room was filled with awkward silence. Apparently, this guy knew nothing about Thananos except from that information. Hyunsung thought that he clearly wasted his time here. Right when he was about to leave, he saw Libius holding a bag. Libius told him that he'll follow Hyunsung because that's what servants do. This task was from the disciple itself. He also told Libius about the dark energy that will come from the east, so he should accompany Hyunsung. Our MC knew that this guy will probably be necessary for the next part of his mission. Then Libius told Hyunsung that the dark energy coming from the east just happened yesterday. Monsters will also be flooding the city in just a few days, so it's useless if Hyunsung will not accept his assistance. Hyunsung clearly doesn't know anything about the monsters heading towards the city. Libius informed him that it was because of Hyunsung clearing the Wyvern mission last time. He then checked his status window to see any information about this. Hyunsung saw a notice from Idea. Monsters were really coming to attack this city. Idea also posted an emergency quest. This is to protect the city of Venia. Hyunsung got excited again after seeing this. He plans to join this quest. After that, Hyunsung had a party with Libius. He was shocked to see that Libius was already level 560. This NPC was clearly stronger than most of the players in Idea. Hyunsung was happy because he'll receive support and buffs from this high-level nuthead. These two were excited to head to the east part of the city, an overpowered MC with an over-leveled NPC. This will surely be a bloodbath. Meanwhile, someone seems to be in a hurry and types too fast. This person was Minura, the development team leader of Idea. She was tired because she was working all day for the monster wave that was summoned because Hyunsung killed the Wyvern. This guy has been causing her too much trouble because of our MC's rapid progress. She now worries that Hyunsung might finish the first chapter of the game in a flash. Besides from the overpowered skills that Hyunsung got, he's also with Libius now. She thought that Hyunsung would be able to reach level 100 if he participated in the siege for the monster wave. When players reach level 100, they will be unlocking two skills, a passive skill and an ultimate skill. But for Hyunsung's case, both skills will be an active skill. She thought that no other players could beat Hyunsung once he gets these two skills. Even while eating her noodles, she worries about Hyunsung's rapid level growth. She thought that Hyunsung was really a mad person. She then used the AI of Idea and asked what level would Hyunsung be after the monster siege. The AI answered that he'll be around level 101 if Hyunsung managed to kill all the monsters. He will also get all the rarest drops from the boss monsters that he'll be killing. After that, Minura decided to just focus on the tournament that an NPC has held. This girl gave up upon seeing something about it. Meanwhile, in the vicinity of Venia, Yoon was still looking for Hyunsung. She then went back to the city again. This city is full of people right now. She saw the emergency quest of defending the city against the monster wave. Level 100-150 players could also participate. Yoon thought that Hyunsung would probably participate because he likes fighting. She got excited just by thinking about it. After that, she dashed her way out of the city. She thought that Hyunsung would fight the monsters before other players could participate. Hyunsung was indeed trying to fight the monsters head-on. He's still with Libius. The monsters could sense his energy because of Thananos' power and they will head to Hyunsung's location. He then told Libius to try and spread the energy around the area. This will confuse the monsters and divide them. These were the monsters heading to Venia. All of them were high-leveled monsters and some were boss creatures. This orc noticed the energy was being split and being spread throughout the area. As expected, the monsters were confused. Then the energy suddenly disappeared. The monsters then decided to spread out and look for Hyunsung. Our MC was just observing them. Everything was going according to his plan. Each boss monster has about 1,000 subordinates with them. And in total, there were about 5,000 monsters. Hyun-sung wanted to decrease these numbers before they reached Venya. This guy could easily solo this quest now that Libius can give him buffs, but he decided not to. He thought he should not be greedy this time, but this guy still wants to get the #1 spot in contributions. He plans to kill only the bosses and elite mobs. After a while, Hyun-sung hit the record button and it was show time. We can clearly see the excitement on Libius' face right here. This moonwater ebal will be the first target of our MC. It can sense and smell the energy of Hyun-sung, but upon following the scent, all it got was Hyun-sung's jacket. Then suddenly, Hyun-sung appeared beside him and fired magic bullets. Hyun-sung spammed this skill towards the elite mobs around the boss. Because of the increase in his magic power, these bullets were enough to kill them in one shot. The boss got desperate and casted its skill. It howled and all the wolves around him received a buff. Hyun-sung wants to defeat them completely, so he also asked for Libius' buff. His overall skills and attacks will be increased by 50% for 1 hour. These two dash towards each other, but Hyun-sung just proceeds on killing its subordinates. At this moment, the boss realized something. This is not a fight. It is just a mere monster hunting for this guy. Hyun-sung wanted to minimize the damage he's dealing, so he decided to just use his sword against these guys. He stabbed the wolf boss, and then used Thanano's Nocturne. This monster growled in pain as it felt the black lightning around its body. Before dying, it saw Hyun-sung. He was indeed a hunter. With that, the boss was defeated and Hyun-sung gained 30 levels up. He also got the best loot drops from this encounter because this was related on the Wyvern quest last time. Our MC then used his new skill, Thanano's Necromancy. This is like the power of soul leveling's MC. This skill consumes the boss soul and in return, it will be resurrected. The monster will have a 50% buff in its stats and this will last for 10 minutes. This moonwater ebal was now under Hyun-sung's command. This guy thought that a dog is a must when hunting. After that, this black char snake will be the next target. It's not as strong as the ogres, but its poison was a huge problem. Hyun-sung immediately dashed because he wanted to fight this while his buffs were still active. In a swift moment, the wolf bit the snake's body. The snake made its move and bit the wolf as well. This is where Hyun-sung executed a series of stabs on the snake's body. The wolf also managed to pin it down. Another series of slashes were being executed. And with that, this mighty black snake was defeated. Like last time, Hyun-sung leveled up and got the best loot drops. He didn't waste time and proceeded on to his next target. It's this ogre champion anicap. But as they were approaching the ogre, another boss monster appeared. And it's this giant orc, Purak. Hyun-sung was thinking about using his lucid dreaming skill, but it will just be a waste as it will completely win this battle. He's just struggling to figure out how he could penetrate the defense of this ogre and sustain the damage from this orc. Hyun-sung commanded Libius and his wolf to fight the giant orc. And as for him, he will fight the ogre. The ogre was already hit by the magic bullets, but the attack was ineffective. Hyun-sung then used his mirage skill. The ogre clearly started to struggle on hitting its attacks. A series of openings appeared and Hyun-sung managed to grab each one. He managed to land hits to this ogre. The ogre champion used his skill. Its strength and reaction speed was increased to 30%. But as a drawback, magic spells will now be effective against it. Hyun-sung then used his shark torpedo. This summoned a number of water sharks around him. He used this to attack the ogre. And because of its improved reaction speed, it was able to block them. But this was just a mere diversion. Hyun-sung managed to land a hit on its left eye. This attack dealt a critical damage and it made the ogre blind for 10 seconds. The nightmare skill was also activated. But this ogre didn't back down and it managed to hit Hyun-sung. Luckily, he got this belt of dreams which negates unavoidable attacks. Hyun-sung also found himself being surrounded by these monsters. He checked the status of Libius and the wolf, but he found out that the wolf was already defeated. Our MC knew that the situation was not ideal. He then summoned his chains and killed most of the monsters. Those who survived the chains were then attacked by the black lightning. With this, all that's left was the two boss monsters. Hyun-sung then fought the giant orc. He used his shark torpedo skill against it. He was struggling because the ogre was also attacking him. He analyzed the situation. Hyun-sung could only spam 2 skills. Magic bullets, and the shark torpedo has no cooldown because of the dragon language skill. Besides that, he has no other skills left. Another set of reinforcements came and he was again surrounded. Hyun-sung wants to record an overwhelming victory for his YouTube channel. He then used his lucid dreaming skill. For 1 minute, all of his skills cool down and casting time will be nullified. But as a drawback, his defense for 10 days will be 0. Hyun-sung also used his berserk skill. This guy was really planning to get rid of them all. The monsters can't keep up with Hyun-sung's movements now. They were all defeated in an instant. A barrage of shark torpedoes was also set towards the boss monsters. A few slashed and then followed up with the black lightning. Magic bullets were also sent flying. Then Hyun-sung turned his attention to the ogre champion. This poor guy received a huge number of shark torpedoes and magic bullets. A slash on its neck also sealed the deal. Hyun-sung has finally defeated this tough ogre. With a grin in his face, our MC used the necromancy skill again. The mighty ogre champion was now under his command. This made the giant orc more annoyed. It made its way towards Hyun-sung and used its skill. This is a shackle that will make its opponents immovable. The Belt of Dreams will also not be triggered. Hyun-sung had no other way to dodge this attack and it created a huge hole. Libius then came back. The champion ogre attacked the orc. This made it clear that Hyun-sung was still alive. Turns out, our MC used the berserk skill again. As you all know, this skill negates all the damage he receives. The orc was still in disbelief, but Hyun-sung was already on his way to slay this monster. After that, all of the boss monsters were all defeated. Hyun-sung immediately collected the loot from this hunt. His lucid dreaming skill also ended. His defense is at 0 for the next 10 days. A horde of monsters were still coming at him. He knew that this time, he's really at a disadvantage, so he tried running away. But then, the monsters chasing him were hit by a yellow lightning. Hyun-sung was clearly confused. He doesn't have a skill like this. He thought another boss had spawned. Libius also told his master that this means trouble. Someone called Hyun-sung. It is a familiar voice. It is Yoon. Libius told his master that Yoon was the god of heaven's paladin, and it is indeed. This is Yoon's unique rank. Hyun-sung gave Libius a mad stare. Yoon was a friend of his and he doesn't need to be cautious around her. Yoon thought that Libius was a weird NPC and she told Hyun-sung that she had been looking for him to give him his items. She then revealed that she watched Asura's video and knew that the background from his fights were from Venya. While they're still talking, another set of monsters came. These 2 overpowered players quickly slayed these mobs. After the fight, these 3 were back in the city. Hyun-sung and Yoon agreed to go to the cafe, but Libius also wants to come. He was then asked by Hyun-sung to go to the Pantheon and find more clues about the second trace. But this was intended to make him go away. Being an obedient servant, Libius quickly went away. These 2 went to the cafe after. Yoon was overthinking. She was afraid she'll look like a stalker in front of Hyun-sung. She then made the first move and showed Hyun-sung the items he got last time. Our MC was glad that it was another skill book and a sword. The sword was called Sinclair. It has a debuff that makes its damage 50% less, but it greatly increases other aspects. It also ignores defense. Hyun-sung thought that he could easily negate the debuff by applying Iris Failed product. The skill book was an instant teleportation skill. It has a cooldown of 1 minute. The only downside was that the user will be transported to a random place each time. Nevertheless, our MC was satisfied. He also remembered that since he already got his items, he will not need to meet up with Rin and his sister anymore. He also asked Yoon to keep his nickname a secret. Yoon quickly agreed and was delighted. After getting his items, Hyun-sung was about to go. But Yoon still hasn't sent him a friend request. Yoon then simply asked for the friend request. And with that, Hyun-sung gained another friend inside the game. Our MC went back to the inn after a long day. He was also eager to check the items he got from the hunt he conducted. These were the items he got. Most of them were like materials for crafting. The most notable one was this skill book. He used it and got this skill, Sweet Dreams. This skill will make him fall asleep for 10 minutes and each minute will recover his health. This skill was really compatible with his narcolepsy skill because the AI will always take over once he's asleep. Another OP skill for ROPMC. Hyunsun was also satisfied with his contribution for the emergency quest. Since he killed the boss monsters and elite mobs, he will surely get top 1. This dagger was also dropped from the hunt. It consumes mana but it has the ability to come back to Hyunsung whenever thrown. Meanwhile, at the office of his best friend, all of the staff were being bombarded with calls inquiring about Asura. Even top guilds from Inferno were asking for some details about this mysterious genius. Yiwon also thought that he now needed to hire more people to meet all the work they were receiving. After that, he received a call from an important person. He quickly answered it. It was from a popular streamer named Devil. This guy was interested in Asura. He asked Yiwon if Asura was already in a guild. Yiwon answered it with a no. The Devil then took the opportunity and asked Yiwon if he could advertise his guild to Asura. Devil also told him important information that would really interest Asura. This was about the Empire's fighting competition. Knowing Hyunsung, he will surely participate in this event. Yiwon then dialed Hyunsung's phone number and gave him a call. He told him about the competition. This is where Hyunsung also revealed that he was already level 94. Yiwon then asked him not to level up anymore. The competition will be divided into different classes based on their levels, and some pro players will participate on levels 100 and below. Hearing this, Hyunsung was glad. He will get a chance to fight pro players. Hyunsung will also send Yiwon another set of videos. The first one was his raid against these monsters, and the other one was his hunt on Venia. This information shocked Yiwon and his staff. He revealed that he has already killed the boss monsters and this situation happened because of him. This development will surely get more attention than his last videos. Hyunsung sent the videos immediately. After this, our MC and his sister went out and watched a movie. It's been a while since they got a chance to relax. He's also happy seeing his sister cheerful. Hyuna, on the other hand, prepared a surprise for her brother. This is Hyunsung's expression upon seeing the surprise. His sister can now stand up on her own. She was clearly capable of using her legs now. Hyunsung was clearly shocked, but it was then turned into confusion. Hyuna then revealed that she has been paying for her rehabilitation for a while now. It's been 3 months since she started. Hyunsung didn't really want to burden her younger sister on paying bills. That's why he reacted like this. He also found out that in 2 weeks, Hyuna will be able to be completely healed. Knowing this, Hyunsung asked her sister a favor. He told his sister that he wants her to go and study in a university. This guy wants his sister to have a normal life. He knew Hyuna would meet amazing friends and live her life now. Hyuna really wanted to go to a university, but in one condition. She wants to go with Hyunsung. These siblings were really something else. Meanwhile, at the eastern wall of Venia, the monsters have reached the city. That night, they started to attack the villagers and the players inside the city. Some players were struggling fighting these mobs. Some of them were quick and formed a group, but they were still overwhelmed. The sunrise came and they thought that they were now safe. But as they relaxed for a bit, a terrifying sight was shown to them. Monsters that were taller than the walls started to make a peek. After this, the whole city was in chaos. Players and guards were no match with this force. Back to our MC, he was being woken up by Hyuna. She then showed him something on the television. It was a video of Asura. Hyuna said that it was just uploaded 2 hours ago and now it was being broadcasted in TV. This fangirl has no clue that Asura was his brother. The host for this show also showed their admiration towards Asura. Except for this guy, the rank 450 fire mage in the Korean server. He told them that this was just normal. He suggested that Asura must be level 150 and above. This guy was clearly not recognizing Asura's skills. It made this host annoyed and told him that he could not relate with this amount of power because he only has a rare rank. The other host cut their argument and shifted to another topic. It was about the invasion in the eastern part of Venia. Hyunsung didn't expect the damage of the monsters to the city. He then went to his room after hearing this. This idol was hoping that Asura would go to Venia and help the city. and while their show was still on air, they received information. She then reported that Asura was seen on the eastern part of Venia just now. Hyuna got excited as well from this development. At the eastern wall of Venia, these guys were at their limits from protecting the city. They felt an ominous aura again. It has just been 1 hour since the last wave, and now another one was coming. Some of the NPCs shouted for hope. They can't let their city be destroyed. They faced the monsters again. Then lightning hit the monsters and defeated them. These attacks were from Yoon. She plans to hold this wave until Hyunsung arrives. She casted her powerful skill, Heaven's Punishment. This summoned thousands of swords raining down on the monsters. This girl really has improved her skills. Seeing her fight, this inspired the other players and NPCs and made their way to fight as well. But as things got dragged out, Yoon started to struggle against this horde of monsters. She got surrounded. She closed her eyes. She thought that this is the first time she'll experience death in a game. But when she opened her eyes, all the monsters were defeated. She then saw this man, her savior. It's Hyunsung. But this time, he was wearing a white mask. Our MC used his sweet dreams skill. His character will fall asleep for 10 minutes and the AI will take over. This is like watching himself in an autopilot. This AI has also improved its movements and attacks as Hyunsung got stronger. All the people in the city were now watching the great Asura. Even if monsters repeatedly went to attack him, none of them ever succeeded. This is the power of AI, gentlemen. Hyunsung even wants to fight this AI who was controlling his character. While the fight was going on, Yoon was completely captivated by Hyunsung. She also accepted the role of being a cameraman for Hyunsung for his videos. But she thought that she can't let Hyunsung fight alone. She then started to move and fight as well. While the AI was still fighting, Hyunsung was concerned about accidentally reaching level 100. He now wishes to not level up. He really wants to fight the pro players, but the AI can't be controlled anymore. His character continued killing monsters. The AI even used the necromancy skill on this orc and used it to kill more monsters. Lower-leveled monsters were in no match against this orc. The players who were watching also started to help Hyunsung. His character continues to level up. He's now at level 96, and after killing some more, Hyunsung was already level 99. Our MC was now in panic. He really wants to participate in the competition. Not to mention that the second trace will also be triggered when he's level 100. But then this notification appeared. Sweet Dream's skill was done. The first thing Hyunsung did was to pick up all the loot he got. This guy really was something else. He also received a direct message from Yoon. She thanked him for saving her. After that, Hyunsung left the area. The people were all thankful to him. They will now defend Asura against the harsh comments about him. This man gained some fanboys. Meanwhile, our MC has also changed his clothes to hide his identity. He then thought that since there's still no announcement about the siege, the quest was still not done. But he can't kill any monsters now or else he'll level up. Right when he was about to log out, Libius came back. Hyunsung was getting used to this NPC's enthusiasm. This NPC was also able to find him wherever he went. He then thought of something interesting. Hyunsung messaged Yoon and asked her something. He also gave Libius some orders. After this, the narcolepsy skill activated. Hyunsung will now be forced to sleep. Libius witnessed his master falling asleep and he was really glad to see something miraculous. He then bowed this hard again. The people around the city found him weird and crazy. Back to his real life. Hyunsung saw Hyuna watching something. His sister was watching a video about Asura. After that, Hyunsung accompanied his sister to the hospital. They were there to check her rehabilitation status. He also gave Hyuna some updates regarding Asura. He said that Asura doesn't really want to join a guild right now and he already met Yoon for his items. Then they went to the office of Hyuna's doctor, Lee Mina. Lee Mina and Hyunsung had a conversation. She apologized for keeping Hyuna's secret. Hyunsung really didn't mind this at all. He was just glad that his sister started to recover well. Lee Mina told him that Hyuna was lucky to have him as her brother. Some families give up on hope and this affected some patients. But for Hyuna's case, she was determined to recover. And this was because of her brother. After their conversation, Lee Mina received a call. It was about her capsule that arrived just now. This doctor will now also try to play Idea. Something about her looks reminded me about Siwa. She really got interested in Idea because of her patience. Meanwhile, at the Heroes Guild house, all the members were present except for Hyun and Yoon. This meeting was about the monster siege on Venia. Yoon contacted her sister, Rin, about this matter. This was personally requested by Asiura, so she took this seriously. All of the members in the Heroes Guild already knew Asiura. He's really quite famous right now, but this guy was a little hesitant. All the unofficial rankers he knew were all crazy, so he's still not convinced. Then Rin revealed that she already met Asiura when she was on her alt account. This gave the other guild members a sense of relief, but she told them that Asiura was not really inclined to join their guild. They then remembered something that happened to them a long time ago. The Hero Guild met a woman who was too powerful. This woman told them that if one of them managed to defeat her, she'd join them. But they failed. Some of them were still irritated with this memory. Rin then diverted the topic on Hyuna's brother. All of them really like Hyuna, but they were still hesitant on letting her brother into the guild easily. But the main point was Hyuna's brother knew Asiura. They thought that it could give them some advantage in Asiura's favor. As they were still talking, someone arrived. This man entered the room. His name was Eden. He's the guild leader of Korea's strongest guild, Mythology Guild. He's also the official ranked one in the server. He came to the meeting to personally address Venia's situation. He explained that they planned to help Venia as per Asiura's request, but most of his guild members were already over level 150. Only a few members were around level 140. And to support them well, they will use some buffs. Eden will deploy buffers around the area to support the ones who could participate in the siege. This will be a long-ranged support tactic. But Rin told them there's a better plan, and it was from Asiura. This genius player plans to use the Pantheon against the monsters. Some members knew that if Pantheon participated, they would surely win this one. But the problem was convincing NPCs to go to a fight, and this is where Libius came in. At the Pantheon, he's now talking to the bishop. This guy used his influence to threaten this old man and made him submit on his request. A truly worthy servant of Thananos. And after some time, the bishop agreed to protect the city against the monsters. Mission accomplished for this crazy guy. Back at the meeting of the Heroes Guild, they were still talking about their plans on saving Venia. After some conclusions, all of the members headed to Venia to prepare. Rin and Eden were left alone. These guys talked about Asiura. Eden already knew that Rin had met Asiura. He told Rin that they should now hurry on recruiting Asiura. The Black Guild was also making their move. Hearing this, Rin's facial expression changed. The Black Guild was Korean servers' top 2 guild. They were also known as Black Association. Black Guild was composed of 5 different sub-guilds, and if they will face Mythology Guild on full power, the top one will lose. This was because of the overwhelming wealth these sub-guilds have. Eden told Rin that they have already threatened other guilds because they want Asiura on their side. If Asiura joins their side, the balance will clearly shift. Rin knew that Asiura will join the competition, and she thought that the Black Guild would use this opportunity to recruit him. This is where Eden suggested that Rin and her guild should also participate in the competition. This will also make their guild official. A free advertisement indeed. Eden also revealed that the woman who defeated all of them will also participate. Hearing this, Rin will surely participate as well. With that, all the matters have been settled. Rin and Eden will now head to Venia as well. This girl was also excited to meet Hyunsung again. Meanwhile, the team leader in Idea's HQ looked like this. He's been under stress because of the amount of work he needed to do. The other agents reported that Hyunsung has already got a new set of skills and items from the monster hunt. The team leader asked for a list of these items and skills. This guy also knew that Hyunsung was already level 99 and he will be participating in the competition. As he browsed the list, he received a call from Minura. She told the team leader confidential information. The chairman's daughter will be participating in the competition. Meanwhile, back at Hyunsung, he woke up in a strange place. Apparently, Libius brought him into the Pantheon. He also received the quest notification that the monster siege was successful. Hyun-sung received a unique skill box and a unique item box. The contents of these will be random. He quickly equipped the items he received from the quests. Our MC thought that he needed to make Libius busy again so he could be alone again. He then asked Libius to guard the Pantheon while he was gone. Hyun-sung took his alone time as he wandered the streets of Armin. But then, a spell from Thinano's disciple was casted and it transported Libius back to where Hyun-sung was. Hyun-sung was clearly not happy with what he was seeing. Libius was summoned while he was taking a bath. This NPC was bat naked and he's in the middle of the streets. At the Beldorm Kingdom, these people were also having their meeting. This guy was the #1 in terms of combat in the Black Association Guild, Jung-gu. There's also this lady who was the chief of intelligence of the Black Guild, Hwarin. The guild leader of the largest mage guild was also present. This is Pelia, the Black Dealer Guild Master, Henry. And lastly, the guild leader of the largest mercenary guild, Zerubbabel. These guys were all talking about the upcoming competition and they all got their eyes on Asura. They will each have their representative compete in the competition. And whoever defeats Asura, he or she will have the rights to recruit him. These guys were also planning on using the competition to spread their influence and promote the Black Association. Meanwhile, in this snowy mountain, someone was running too fast amidst the snow. This player was Siwa. She wonders how much Hyun-sung has improved since the last time they met. She was also disappointed because Hyun-sung has not contacted her at all after he added her as a friend. Back at the Heroes Guild base, Rin was conducting another meeting. They failed to meet up with Asura in Venya. But these fangirls were still happy as they got the chance to watch Asura from the recorded videos. Some of the guild members were concerned that they would dominate the competition if they joined. But Rin said this will not be the case. Other guilds will also be sending their best representatives to fight in this competition. Rin also told them that this meeting was to determine who among their guild members will participate in the competition. She also revealed that the woman who defeated them was also participating. This quickly changed the mood inside the room. Hyuna told them that she will not be participating because her main role was a healer. This gal will also pass as her skills were not designed for 1v1 purposes. With that, Rin knew that the remaining guild members would all participate. Meanwhile, at Inferno's HQ, all the agents went home. They needed to rest because tomorrow, the competition will commence. Only the team leader was left. This guy can't help himself but to worry. He worries about the chairman's daughter revealing her identity. He also looked after Hyun-sung's plans. He knew that no one can match Hyun-sung's power. Not even the pro gamers. He knows that this match between Hyun-sung and the pro gamers will surely be a big hit. The team leader was also spying at Hyun-sung because today is the day the DP store resets. All he can do is watch as this overpowered character acquires more powerful skills and items. At the imperial capital, the streets were clearly alive. Lots of people have gathered. Our MC was lining up to register himself in the competition. He didn't expect that a lot of level 100 players would also participate in this competition. He's also irritated because Libius was just around the corner waiting for his commands. While waiting, Hyun-sung decided to use the DP store. He now has 8,941 points to spend. This guy didn't even hesitate and used the DP store. He swiped his finger from common skill up to the legendary ones. A series of notifications popped out in front of him. Hyun-sung scanned and read each of the skills that he got. This guy thought of something interesting upon looking at his new skills. After a while, Hyun-sung was ready for the competition. But participants still need to pass some tests for them to participate. This will weed out the weak ones and cut their numbers significantly. The first exam will disable all the passive skills of the players. All they need to do is to defeat the monster in front of them or survive for 10 minutes. Before Hyun-sung began, he started to record. Then his opponent started to materialize. This guy will be battling a version of himself. His wish last time was fulfilled. Out of his excitement, Hyun-sung dashed towards his opponent. These two clashed their swords and exchanged blows. But clearly, Hyun-sung overpowered this fake one. But as expected, this fake was a tough opponent. Hyun-sung then decided to use his other weapon, the dagger, and in a swift attack, he got the fake one. That concluded his entry for the exam. He cleared this one in just 38 seconds. Hyunsung has set a new record. The system then asked Hyunsung about the name he will use in the competition. This guy was just too badass. After that, he was transported back to the stadium. These people were all in disbelief as the records were being shown in front of them. They saw that Asura got first on the ranking system. Hyunsung then tried looking at it. He saw that his record was far too quickly than other participants. While other people were praising Asura, this one was annoyed. He's the pro gamer who got second place on the ranking board. Asura was ahead of him by 2 minutes. This guy really wants to teach Asura a lesson. He intends to humiliate Asura in the qualifying rounds. After some time, the competition has officially started. These hosts have also greeted the people who attended this event. They started to analyze the records of the players who participated on level 100 to 200 and those in levels 200 to 300. But they were sad because they didn't see Asura's name in those ranking boards. A video of Asura was even being played inside the stadium as they talked about him. They then moved on and talked about the participants on the levels 100 and below. This is where they were excited because some pro players were participating. The spotlight was then diverted to this host who was about to interview this player. This guy was named Ark, and he's a pro gamer. The host asked him a few questions, but the most notable one was when he mentioned Asura's name. This pro gamer recognized Asura as the best player in Idea. But the people watching were disappointed because they thought Asura didn't participate. After Ark, another pro gamer was being interviewed. And this time, it's Lucifer. This guy was being bashed because of his rowdy answers. The host even had a hard time getting answers from him. In the end, Lucifer displayed his not-so-great manners and left the interview. Then the hosts went back and talked about their expectations towards these pro gamers. They also introduced the exam for the qualifying rounds. It will be a time attack dungeon clear. Each participant will enter a dungeon and they will be facing 3 bosses. But to add some difficulty, players can't use their skills. So this will be purely based on power and their controls. The ones who will clear the dungeons fast, they will be the ones who will move to the next round. Apparently, our MC was watching the broadcast from his waiting room, and Hyunsung was not happy being called an amateur by Lucifer. This guy was about to crush these pro gamers. After a while, the exam started. Ark was the first one to take it. He displayed his skills and he didn't even receive a hit once. His progress was being displayed for the people to watch. Some of them recognize his insane skills and keen eyes. Meanwhile, Lucifer has also started his exam. This guy was way ahead of Ark. The same boss that Ark was facing was already below 50% in health. This boosted the ego of Lucifer even more. He also received an exclusive invitation from the Black Association. Lucifer then decided to wrap this match up and clear the dungeon. He then dashed towards the boss. But the stadium was interrupted by a notification that someone has already cleared the first stage. All the people watching were confused. Someone cleared it in just 4 minutes and 31 seconds. The hosts then excitedly revealed the player behind this unreal record. It was Asura. This shocked almost all the players in Idea. They didn't expect that Asura's level was below 100. This created a huge hype in Idea's server. They can't believe that this guy who dominated the monster siege was only at level 99. The crowd went cray-cray. The excitement towards this competition was now through the roof. Not long after, Asura's dungeon clear was being broadcasted in the stadium. He's now against this serpent. But our MC displayed his swift movements and clean attacks. He was able to hit all the vital parts of the snake. The snake's body was not an easy target. Normal attacks wouldn't even damage it. But Asura was just slicing through its body like it's butter. The hosts also noticed that Asura's movements were all precise and calculated. He's not wasting time making flashy attacks. And soon after, the boss snake was defeated. The third phase then quickly started. Asura dashed towards the vampire boss and bombarded it with slashes. The vampire didn't have enough time to react. It was defeated easily by Asura. His records were then displayed again. Hyunsung has cleared all the dungeons in just 1 hour and 27 minutes. The crowd went wild again. They even bragged that if there will be a world competition for this, Asiura will still win. Siwa was also watching Hyunsung. She confirmed that his skills greatly improved. She's now excited about winning this competition and plans to tease Hyunsung about it. But Siwa was wondering why Hyunsung was using the nickname Asiura. Rin was also watching his dungeon clear exam. She wonders how Hyunsung was able to do moves like that. But then she remembered how this guy constantly practiced weird moves when they were together. Rin then made up her mind. She needs to do her best even though she already knows that her nemesis will win this competition. The preliminary rounds have been concluded and this was the final rankings displayed. Asiura was the first, followed by Han Siwa. The next ones were all from the Hero Guild. This made Siwa sad because she can't tease Hyunsung now. Rin was also disappointed as she can't recruit someone who ranked higher than her. Lucifer was clearly frustrated. This so-called pro gamer was owned by the unofficial rankers. After that, Hyunsung logged off. This guy was being restless from all the things he's been doing. But he now recognized Siwa and Rin as they ranked second and third. He then saw her sister glued watching the competition. Our MC made an alibi that he was already disqualified from the competition to not raise suspicions. Hyunsung congratulated her sister because all of her guildmates were ranked in the top 10, especially Rin. This is where Hyuna told her brother that she also knew Siwa. She's the one who defeated all of the Heroes Guild last time. Their nemesis. Hyuna continued to boast to make her brother want to join more in Heroes Guild. She also told her brother that there were still a lot of people who were much stronger but didn't participate in the competition. This gal then changed the topic towards Asiura. She's sure that Asiura will win this competition. After talking with her brother, Hyuna got up and told Hyunsung that she will sleep now. Hyunsung also rested after that. He needs to get his strength for tomorrow's matches. One day later, the competition was open again. This is the most awaited part. Even ordinary people were all watching this broadcast. From their homes up to the clubs, the hosts were also back at it again. They were talking about the pro players who lost to those unofficial rankers of Korea. These players who got on top were being led by none other than Asiura. His video was being shown again inside the stadium. After that, they revealed the format of the final round. Each player will fight each other all the way up to the grand finals. Finally, they announced that they will now start the competition. The Emperor was also present. He wants to witness the strength of the players himself. The first watch was with Asiura and a pro gamer Izel. This guy was already nervous. He was confused about what he saw. It's Asiura wearing his white mask. The people in the stadium were also caught off guard. They call this form Night Asiura. This guy now wonders how he should deal with Asiura. In Hyunsung's perspective, he wants to hide his real form up to the grand finals. He wants to test the AI's capabilities. Before the match started, Asiura had made this position. He then activated his skill, Sweet Dreams. Izel started to fire his bullets towards Asiura, but the Night Asiura displayed his skills. He easily dodged the bullets with his movements. Izel knew that he was at a disadvantage and threw his weapons. Hyunsung recognized the decision-making of the pro gamers. They quickly adapt to the situation. Izel summoned his mana shield, but Night Asiura was still dashing towards him. Asiura's attack penetrated Izel's shield, and it got him. Izel tried counter-attacking with his bullets, but they were still blocked by RMC. This was followed by a series of slashes. Izel has no chance to retaliate at all, and with that, the match ended. Night Asiura won. Lucifer was watching inside his waiting room. He was clearly annoyed. He wants to crush Asiura this badly. Then someone sent him a message. It's one of the Black Guild's chief, Zerbal. Zerbal told Lucifer that if he'll lose like Izel, their contract is off. Even his career was now at stake. The people in the Black Association were now teasing Pelia. His representative was already defeated by Asiura. They were now excited on how the other players in their guild will perform. These guild leaders also recognized Asiura's skills. They knew that Asiura had the potential to become the most powerful player in Idea. But Zerbal was still confident that Lucifer could beat Asiura. His reputation was still at stake here. After some more conversation, they decided to wait and observe the outcome first. Lucifer's matches also ended in a flash. He's indeed powerful. He won his matches in an overwhelming manner. The host then concluded that the first part has been concluded. The screen also showed the MVP of these matches, and it was Asura. The hosts were then informed that there will be a 10-minute break before they continue the matches. There will be an interview first with Asura. The host then started asking questions to our MC. This guy was clearly tense, but he has no other choice but to accept the interview. He then shared his thoughts after fighting a pro player. He said that pro players were on a whole different level. They could quickly adapt and adjust their tactics in battle. He also added that he doesn't plan to hold back. This is just right, as he respects the other players as well. Asura also responded to another question. He told them that he doesn't think that Ark was the best among the pro players in the tournament. After this statement, Hyunsung went away. The crowd were still in awe of his bold statement. He was also disappointed about his response. Hyunsung knew that he got carried away. He now plans to just do his best in the next rounds. He then changed the color of his mask. This form was called Hunter Asura, as his movements were more rogue and rough. Hyunsung's next match concluded quickly. He dominated his opponent again. After the match, he quickly went back to his room to avoid any interviews again. As he rested, he saw the third match of the tournament. It was with this pro player, Ark, and his opponent was none other than Rin's sister, Yoon. The host praised Yoon's skill as well as her beauty. This match will be worthwhile. Both of them were determined to win this, as the winner will fight Hyunsung next round. They immediately clashed. The cameras can't really follow their movements. Both of these players were skilled. Yoon started to up her game, but her attempt was blocked by Ark. Ark then revealed his secret weapon. His hand was then covered with ice, and he was about to land a hit on Yoon. Yoon knew that she can't dodge this a close-ranged attack. She then decided to forfeit. This girl accepted her defeat. She's now more determined to learn and get stronger. After the match, the crowd went wild again. Both of them have displayed exceptional skills. Hyunsung was also amazed by Ark's knuckle weapons. He also wants to try using these. Meanwhile, these two were just watching the matches at the stadium. They were glad because they saw Rin's sister, Yoon. Hyuna told her friend that her brother also participated, but he was already eliminated. This mage then suggested that something was off. Hyuna's brother was known to be more powerful than Kaiser, so it's impossible to get eliminated right away. Hyuna thought about it and then agreed. These two just concluded that maybe Hyuna's brother was keeping a low profile and intentionally dropped his place in the competition. With this, another round has been concluded. The host couldn't believe what they were seeing. Out of the top 16 players who qualified, 6 players were all from the Heroes Guild. People knew that these guys were even more powerful than Lucifer. This is the strength of the unofficial rankers of Korea. Rin and her guild mates made their way to the stadium. These guys were all glad, as all of them qualified for the final rounds. Even this guy, Vern, who was affiliated in their guild, made it. He then pointed out someone to Rin. Everyone knew that the one they were seeing was the woman who beat them all. Rin knew that in order to recruit her, she needed to win against this woman. Meanwhile, Siwa didn't even feel their presence. She was busy thinking about Hyunsung. This made the Hero Guild more eager to prove their strength. This gave Rin more reasons to win against Siwa. The crowd also went cray-cray whenever Siwa battles. Her beauty and skills were more than enough to captivate their hearts. Her next opponent was Vern. This guy was also excited to get his revenge. Siwa felt annoyed as she hates being spied on. Both of them exchanged some remarks. Vern knew that if he can't beat Siwa, Rin will still be her next opponent. All of them in the Hero Guild want to get their revenge. After a while, Vern started his move against Siwa. Vern's attack was easily deflected by Siwa, even though the force from his huge sword was powerful enough to send someone flying. He then tried landing another attack again, but Siwa's scythe made a counterattack, and this sent Vern backwards. Vern knew that he can't defeat her with just normal attacks. He used his ultimate skill. His body turned into dark particles and it surrounded Siwa. After that, Vern appeared in front of her, ready to land an attack, but it didn't hit Siwa. She was already behind him, and with a swift attack, Vern received a critical hit. He still tried to struggle and deflect some attacks, but it's no use. Chains have started to surround him. With him unable to move, Siwa set her farewells. Vern was defeated. He didn't even have a chance against Siwa. The people watching this match can't believe what they saw. The Emperor was clearly impressed by how the players were battling each other. But amongst the players, he has set his eyes on Asura. He then ordered someone to find something about Asura as he's curious about this guy. That same time, his top spies went and tried looking for more information about Asura. They first infiltrated the inn where Asura was always staying. But before this guy could even enter, he heard a voice behind his back. It's Libius. This NPC was just smirking against the spy. The spy was shocked as he didn't feel Libius' presence. This spy knew that this can't be happening. So he made his move against Libius. He appeared behind Libius' back. But suddenly, he can't move his body. Libius turned around and talked to this spy. This NPC already knew that he's with the Emperor. Libius then casted a spell on this spy. He then sent a message to the Emperor saying that he needs to be more careful not to offend them. Libius' master was someone they shouldn't mess up with. After that, all of the spies went on their way. Libius also wrote a letter to his higher-ups reporting this matter. His higher-ups quickly responded using this talking paper. They ordered Libius to avoid war at all costs. But this NPC has already sent a warning towards the Emperor. All they need to do now is to wait for the Emperor's reaction. If things go south, an inevitable war could occur. The higher-ups then told Libius to just serve his master well. This NPC was really dedicated to protecting Hyunsung. He's willing to take down anyone even if it's the Emperor. That night, the spy had already relayed the message of Libius to the Emperor. After hearing this, the Emperor laughed, and it was loud enough to break the glass in some vases inside his room. This also broke the spell that Libius had casted. The Emperor learned that they serve the god of death and sleep. This made him more interested in Asura. He then remembered something when he was still young. The only one he can't even defeat was someone from the Pantheon. This was the only man that ever defeated him. The Apostle of Death and Sleep. The Emperor has been wanting to fight this man again. He thought that if the Pantheon was protecting Asura, he's someone important. He then reached on this orb and asked someone to contact the Pope of the Pantheon. The day after, Libius has this face whenever he greets Hyunsung. He bragged that he did something that his master could be proud of. He then told Hyunsung that last night, the Emperor had sent someone to spy on him. Hyunsung told Libius about the tournament that the Emperor held and he was participating. At this moment, Libius knew he's in trouble. He didn't know about this tournament. He even threatened the Emperor. He just made an alibi about this, saying that he peacefully sent the spy back. Libius immediately contacted the Pope about this. The Pope was annoyed as he was already contacted by the Emperor. He said that Libius should clean his own sheet now. This NPC messed up. He's thinking about taking the Emperor down just to make this problem go away. Meanwhile, Hyunsung was talking with Yelan. He was informed that he could now withdraw his money from YouTube. He then checked the balance of his account, and he saw this. He has 2 million in his bank account. Hyunsung was already happy with this amount because all he did was to play idea. But then he noticed something. He even dropped his phone upon confirming it. This guy earned $2 million in just 2 weeks. He thought that it's 2 million won. Back into the tournament. The Emperor was keen on watching the next match because it will be Asura who's gonna fight. He was also with this lady who he personally called to watch this tournament with him. This is Uriah, the Archmage of the continent. She was kinda whining because of the skills these participants have. This lady was really powerful, but then the Emperor said that she needs to wait until Asura's match. Uriah was also interested in seeing the man who was being protected by the Pantheon. After a few more minutes, the match will now begin. Uriah saw the Emperor's face. It was full of excitement. The Emperor said that she'll understand what he's feeling once she sees Asura. And this time, our MC looks like a magician. He also has a new color of mask which is blue. Uriah told the Emperor that she was particularly strict on magicians. Especially she was the greatest magician in the whole continent. The Emperor then revealed that Asura was originally a swordsman. This is not the weapon he's been using throughout the matches. This development made the Emperor more interested. Ark and Asura also met in the center of the ring. Hyun-sung was kinda happy with what he had come up with. A blue mask for his new style of fighting. With that, the hosts have finally started the match. Asura was not bluffing. He could really use magic. Fireballs started to chase Ark. This form was then called Mage Asura by the spectators. Ark didn't expect this and he was caught off guard. A huge explosion was then seen at the ring. The crowd were all cheering because of Asura's magic power. This guy hasn't even reached level 100. Hyun-sung was satisfied because of the skills he got from the DP store. They were all compatible with the current skills he has. And if he'll add the dragon language skill, it will be more powerful. But then Ark seems to be unscathed. He's now making his way towards Asura. Asura knew that Ark was different from his earlier opponents, so he'll not hold his strength against him. He then casted another spell. Ark was struggling to keep up. Asura has been casting spells like he has unlimited mana. After a while, Asura got some clean hits. The fireballs started to take their toll on Ark's body, but Ark was still not giving up, and instead of closing his distance to Asura, he did the opposite. He knew that he'd be in a much more dangerous situation if he tried to battle Asura head-on. Ark's HP was now below 30%. He didn't expect to win in the first place, but he just wants to land one attack at least. With his remaining strength, he jumped up to dodge the fireballs from Asura. He then thought that Asura was out of mana, so as soon as he landed, he was ready to dash in. This guy was eager to take this chance. But then flames started to appear and it surrounded him. He was trapped in the magic spell of Asura. A 6-star magic, Black Ember. This skill works like a landmine, and the destructive power of this spell was definitely out of the charts. With this, Ark fell down, and the whole stadium went crazy again. Ark was considered as the strongest pro player, but he was defeated by Asura. The Emperor asked Uriah if Asura's casting spells were possible. This lady then answered that it is possible if Asura has the Chantless and Dragon language skill. Both of these monsters were clearly amazed by Asura's skill. They both want to make Asura as their apprentice. There's really no limit for this man's power. After the match, Hyun-sung met Ark and told him that he did well. Ark then praises Asura and tells him that he'll follow Asura wherever guild he'll join. This guy has earned another fanboy. As for the remaining matches, Hero Guild dominated the tournament. The main event arrived soon enough. It was Rin versus Han Siwa. Hyun-sung was also looking forward to this match. He's excited to find out the strength of these two beaches. Rin was the first one to make her move. Siwa also responded with her counterattack. After gaining some distance between them, Siwa used her chains. Rin knew that these chains were different from the ones Vern got. These looked more like the chains of Asura. She knew that it's impossible to block these with her sword, so she did this. Rin let the chains hit her body. Siwa became confused and made a huge slash towards Rin. The people thought that the match was already over, but as the dust settled, Rin appeared and dashed towards Siwa. Both of these ladies exchanged powerful attacks, and none of them seemed to be backing down. But then, Rin got hit by this black blade. This was Siwa's skill, Sleeping Demon Scythe. This scythe will make the enemy asleep for 5 seconds. And Rin fell for it. Hyun-sung thought that if Rin had more distance, Siwa wouldn't have the chance to use this skill. He knew that this match was pretty much over, so he decided to prepare. But then Libius appeared beside him. He seems to be protecting Hyun-sung. A crack in space also appeared. It was Uriah. This lady came to visit Hyun-sung. She then boldly told Hyun-sung that she will make him her apprentice. Our MC was clearly shocked. He doesn't even know this lady. She then proceeds on apologizing for her abrupt entrance. A notification then appeared as Hyun-sung was talking with Uriah. He got an achievement just by surviving in front of Uriah's presence for 5 seconds. She further introduced herself to Hyun-sung, saying that she's known as the Disaster. She also boasted about being the strongest mage in the continent. Hyun-sung knew that she's really powerful. Libius, who was already overleveled, can't seem to hold his ground in front of her. After some more introductions, Uriah decided to leave Hyun-sung alone. After that, these two were relieved. Libius really barely survives this encounter. After that, Hyun-sung decided to research more about Uriah. He then found out that people were really dying just by feeling her presence. Hyun-sung doesn't know what to do now. He was just asked by the strongest mage to be her apprentice. Uriah, on the other hand, went back to the emperor. The emperor then teased her about approaching Hyun-sung in a rude manner. The final match for the players below level 100 finally arrived. This match was between Asura and Lucifer. Our MC was wearing his blue mask this time. This annoyed Lucifer. He thought that he's being belittled by Asura. This guy blew the horn with all his might, and it signified that the match will now start. Lucifer quickly ran towards Asura. He intends to close the distance between them. He's confident that he could withstand the power of 1 to 2 star spells. But then, Asura flicked his fingers, and Lucifer saw some black flame. He was hit by this new spell of Asura. Being hit by Asura's attacks also meant one thing. Lucifer already had some nightmare stacks above him. Asura then used his nocturne skill, and black lightning hit Lucifer's body. This shocked the whole Block Association Guild. Before passing out, Lucifer also experienced nightmares. He then fell down. Asura thought that Lucifer was indeed weaker than Ark. The stadium went cray-cray again. This guy took on a pro player in less than a minute. After that, the ceremony for the awards was held. These guys were the ones who won in their level category. Han Siwa was among the winners. Then someone announced that Uriah will be the one who will give the awards. And a black portal appeared. As soon as this lady appeared, this man ran for his life. The emperor was now worrying because Uriah might do something foolish. She started by greeting Asura. Our MC was about to respond, but a notification popped out. It's his narcolepsy skill. And as usual, this made Asura fall asleep. Uriah has no clue about what's happening. Asura fell down, and it left the whole stadium in silence. They thought that Uriah's voice killed Asura. This lady was now in panic. All she did was talk with Asura. After some time, Hyun-sung woke up, but he's now inside the imperial palace. Libius then appeared and greeted his master. Hyun-sung made sure that the emperor and Uriah didn't misunderstand what happened that time. A servant then made his way to inform Asura that he'll be escorted once he's awake. This is an order from the emperor itself, so it can't be delayed anymore. Hyun-sung thought that he should not wear his mask as an act of respect towards the emperor. Libius, on the other hand, was prepared to protect Hyun-sung if something bad happened. This annoyed Hyun-sung, as he knew that he should avoid offending the emperor. He asked Libius to just go while he talked with the emperor. Hyun-sung then entered the emperor's room. Our MC was greeted by the emperor and told Hyun-sung that he doesn't need any formalities. Uriah was also beside the emperor. She was still being bullied by the emperor because of her sudden and careless actions. With the two bickering at each other, Hyun-sung doesn't know how to respond. After that, the emperor formally congratulated Hyun-sung for winning the competition. He also told Hyun-sung that before he gives him his reward, there's something more important that he needs to ask him. The emperor told Hyun-sung again that Uriah was serious about making him her apprentice. He also expressed his desire to make Hyun-sung his apprentice as well. Our MC was then speechless. This is the end of the first season of Sleeping Ranker. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching this. Thank you, as always, and see you until the next one.